The house is still, wrapped in the deep, quiet velvet of the night. The clock on the wall marks 2 in the morning, each tick a small, sharp sound in the vast silence. Outside, the world sleeps, but here, in the gentle dark of your room, you are wide awake. The weight of the blanket feels heavier, the air thicker, the silence, not a comfort, but an amplifier for the storm within your mind. This is a unique kind of sleeplessness, one that belongs to the later chapters of a life. It is not merely an inconvenience, it is a nightly confrontation. The mind, freed from the distractions of the day, begins to travel. It wanders back through the decades, replaying scenes with a painful clarity, lingering on words left unsaid, on paths not taken. It brings forth a cascade of regrets, small and large, that sting with fresh pain in the stillness. Then, the mind rushes forward, into a future shrouded in mist, worries for your children, your grandchildren, their lives unfolding in a world so different from the one you knew. Questions about your own health, the creaks and pains in a body that was once so strong, and the quiet, persistent fear of dependency, of becoming a burden. Loneliness can be a heavy visitor in these hours, a palpable presence in the empty spaces of the home, a reminder of friends and partners who are no longer here to share the silence. The night, which should be a time for rest and renewal, becomes a courtroom where you are both the defendant and the judge, endlessly examining the evidence of a lifetime. But what if this space, this quiet, dark expanse of time, did not have to be a battlefield? What if the silence was not empty, but full of potential for peace? What if this nightly wakefulness could be transformed from a source of anguish into an opportunity for profound healing and self-discovery? There is an ancient path, a collection of wisdom gathered over thousands of years, that offers not a dogma to be believed, but a set of practical, gentle tools for the heart and mind. It does not promise to erase the past or eliminate all future worries. Instead, it offers a way to change your relationship with them. It teaches us how to sit with the storm, to find the calm eye at its center. It shows us how to befriend our own mind, to soothe its frantic wanderings, and to discover a stillness that is deeper than the silence of the night. This is not about forcing sleep, for the struggle to sleep is what keeps it at bay. This is about finding peace, whether sleep comes or not. It is a journey inward, to a place of quiet strength that has been within you all along, waiting to be rediscovered in the gentle dark. Let us begin here, in this moment, with the most simple and profound companion you will ever have. It is the first thing you received upon entering this world, and it will be the last thing to leave you. It is your breath. We so often overlook it, taking for granted the constant, gentle rhythm that sustains us. Yet within this simple, repeated act lies the key to unlocking a profound and unshakable peace, a quiet anchor in the stormy sea of a sleepless night. Why the breath? Because unlike your thoughts, which are tangled in the past or anxious about the future, the breath is always, unfailingly, in the present. You cannot breathe in a moment that has passed, nor can you take a breath in a moment that has yet to arrive. The breath happens only now. It is a physical, tangible reality in this very second. When the mind feels like a wild storm, a chaotic whirlwind of memories, plans and fears, the breath is the solid ground beneath your feet. It is the sturdy trunk of a great, ancient tree that you can hold on to while the winds of thought howl around you. The mind, in its restlessness, is always looking for something to do, something to grasp. We give it worries, and it chews on them endlessly. We give it regrets, and it replays them in a painful loop. Tonight, let us offer it a new task, a new object of attention, one that is neutral, calming, and free of any story. Let us invite the mind to simply rest on the breath. This is not about stopping your thoughts, an effort that is both impossible and frustrating. It is about gently shifting the spotlight of your awareness from the drama of your thinking mind to the simple, quiet reality of your breathing body. The breath is the bridge between your conscious self and the deep automatic wisdom of your body. It is the place where the voluntary and the involuntary meet. You can choose to hold your breath, or you can let it go, and it will continue on its own. In this way, it is a powerful tool, a meeting point where your intention can gently guide the deepest currents of your being toward tranquility and ease. So, how do we begin this practice? There is nothing you need to force, nothing you need to achieve. You are already lying here. The first step has been taken. Simply give yourself permission to be exactly as you are. Now, bring your attention, as gently as you would lay a feather on a sleeping child's hand, to the sensation of your own breathing. You don't need to change it, deepen it, or slow it down. Just allow it to be whatever it is. Your only task is to notice. Perhaps you feel it most clearly at the tip of your nostrils. Feel the cool air as it enters and the slightly warmer air as it leaves. Notice the subtle, continuous flow. There is a beginning, a middle, and an end to each in-breath. There is a beginning, a middle, and an end to each out-breath. And in between there is a tiny, still pause. Can you feel that? Just observe this simple, miraculous cycle over and over again. For some, the sensation at the nostrils is too subtle. If that is the case, you can shift your attention to your abdomen. Place a hand gently on your belly if you wish, and feel its slow, soft movement. Feel the gentle rise with each inhalation, like a quiet tide coming in. Feel the gentle fall with each exhalation, the tide receding back into a vast, calm ocean. You are not making it rise or fall. You are simply a silent, kindly witness to the life force moving within you. There is nowhere else to be, nothing else to do. For just this moment, your only purpose is to feel this breath. This simple act of observation has a profound effect on your entire being. All day, and especially during these anxious nights, your body may be caught in a state of high alert, a fight or flight response triggered by stressful thoughts. Your nervous system acts like a hyper-vigilant guard, seeing threats in memories of the past and worries about the future. This creates real, physical tension. Your heart beats a little faster, your muscles tighten, your breathing becomes shallow. You are preparing for a battle that exists only in your mind. When you consciously turn your attention to the slow, rhythmic nature of your breath, you are sending a powerful, direct message to that inner guard. You are telling your nervous system, all is well. There is no danger here. You can stand down. With each mindful out-breath, you are activating the body's rest and digest system, its natural pathway to calm and restoration. You may begin to notice the effects. The clenched muscles in your jaw might begin to soften. The tightness in your shoulders may start to release. Your forehead, furrowed with worry, might become smooth. Your heart, which was beating a frantic rhythm against your ribs, may begin to slow to a more peaceful tempo. This is not magic, it is biology. It is the body's innate wisdom, responding to the gentle guidance of your attention. You are creating a state of physical safety, a sanctuary within your own skin, making it a place where sleep feels welcome to visit. Now, we must address the most important part of this practice, the part that requires the most kindness. Your mind will wander. This is not a sign of failure. It is simply the nature of the mind to think, just as it is the nature of the heart to beat. You will be resting your attention on the breath, and suddenly, you will find yourself composing an email, reliving a conversation from years ago, or worrying about a doctor's appointment next week. The moment you notice that your mind has wandered is a moment of victory. That moment of, "Oh, I'm thinking," is a moment of pure mindfulness. Do not be discouraged. Do not be frustrated. The goal is not to have an empty mind. The goal is to be aware of what your mind is doing. So, when you notice you are lost in thought, gently, without any judgment, acknowledge it. You might even silently say to yourself, "thinking," or "worrying," and then, as you would gently take the hand of a lost child and guide them back to the path, you gently and lovingly escort your attention back to the sensation of the breath. You may have to do this 5 times or 100 times. It does not matter. Each time you return to the breath, you are strengthening the muscle of your attention. Each return is an act of profound self-compassion. You are training yourself not with harsh discipline, but with infinite patience. Imagine you are a boatman in a small boat, adrift on a vast, dark ocean at night. This ocean is your mind, and the waves are your thoughts and emotions. Sometimes the water is calm, but tonight it is a storm. Huge waves of regret and fear rise up, threatening to capsize your small vessel. The unskilled boatman panics. He tries to fight the waves, to beat them down with his oar. He yells at the storm, wasting his energy in a futile battle against the immense power of the ocean. He quickly becomes exhausted, and the waves overwhelm him. But you are learning to be a wise boatman. You know you cannot control the ocean. You cannot stop the waves of thought and feeling from arising, so you don't try. Instead, you turn your full attention to the one thing you can control, your firm, steady grip on the oar. The oar is your breath. You feel its solid, reliable presence in your hands. You focus on the rhythm of your rowing, in and out, in and out. The giant waves still rise and fall around you. The storm still rages, but you are no longer fighting it. You are anchored by your task. Your attention on the oar, on the breath, keeps your boat steady. You ride the waves, allowing them to lift you up and set you down, because you are not lost in their drama. You are grounded in the present moment, in the simple, life-sustaining act of breathing. You ride out the storm, not by defeating it, but by finding your anchor within it. This is what we are doing, here and now. The breath is our oar. Let us hold it with gentle, unwavering attention. Now that we have found our anchor, our steady oar in the storm, we can use this newfound stability to turn our attention to the vessel itself, to the boat that carries us through the night. Let us begin a gentle exploration of the body that this breath inhabits, listening to its quiet messages with the same kindness and patience we have offered to the mind. Having found our anchor in the gentle rhythmic tide of the breath, we can now use this newfound stability to embark on a journey. This journey does not take us to a distant land or a forgotten memory, but into the landscape that is most intimate to us, yet often the most ignored, the most misunderstood. We are going to journey through our own body. For many of us, especially as the years accumulate, the body can feel less like a friend and more like a source of trouble. It presents us with aches, with stiffness, with pains that appear without invitation and linger without permission. Our natural response is to fight it, to ignore it, or to numb it. We treat it like a machine that is beginning to fail. But the wisdom of this practice invites us to a different relationship. It asks us to see the body not as a faulty machine, but as a faithful, living companion that has carried us through every single moment of our existence. It is a living diary, and within its tissues, muscles, and bones are held the stories of our entire life, the echoes of every joy, every sorrow, every fear. Tonight, instead of turning away from its signals, we are going to learn to listen with a deep and compassionate attention, using the breath as our gentle guide. The connection between the mind and the body is not a philosophical idea. It is a lived reality. Think of a time you felt a surge of anxiety. Perhaps you felt a knot form in your stomach. Think of a moment of deep sadness, and you might recall a heaviness in your chest, a lump in your throat. When the mind is in turmoil, the body listens and responds. The worries that race through your mind during these sleepless nights are not abstract ghosts. They are physical events. A recurring fear can become a chronic tightness in the shoulders. A long-held regret can manifest as a persistent ache in the back. A feeling of being overwhelmed can lead to a clenched jaw and a tension headache that throbs in the quiet of the night. Your body keeps the score. It holds on to the tensions of unresolved emotions and the stresses of daily life. Often, the reason we cannot sleep is because the body is physically broadcasting the static of the mind. It is in a state of constant, low-grade contraction, braced for a threat that never arrives. The practice of scanning the body is a way of gently turning down this static. It is an act of releasing these stored tensions, not by force, but by the simple, powerful light of non-judgmental awareness. It is a profound act of kindness to this vessel that has served you so well for so long. Let us begin this gentle exploration. Continue to rest with your breath, feeling its steady rhythm. Now, let the beam of your awareness, carried on the breath, travel down through your body, all the way down to your feet. Bring your full, gentle attention to the toes of your left foot. You do not need to wiggle them or move them. Simply feel them from the inside out. What sensations are present here? You might feel the touch of the blanket against them, a sense of warmth or coolness. You might notice a tingling, an itchiness, or a feeling of pressure, or you may feel nothing at all. Whatever you find is perfectly fine. The absence of sensation is also a sensation to be noticed. There is no right or wrong answer. Simply meet whatever is there with a kind, curious attention. Now, allow your awareness to expand, to include the sole of your left foot, the heel resting against the bed, the top of the foot. Notice the intricate web of bones and muscles. Spend a moment here, just feeling, just being with your foot. When you are ready, gently shift your awareness to your right foot and repeat the process. Explore the toes, the sole, the heel, the entire foot with the same patient and gentle curiosity. From your feet, let your awareness begin to travel slowly upwards. Feel your ankles, the meeting point of foot and leg. Move into your lower legs, your shins, and your calf muscles. Can you feel any tightness here? Any pulsing? Any warmth? Simply notice, without judgment, and then continue your journey into your knees. The knees are complex joints that have worked so hard for you over a lifetime. Send them a silent thank you as your awareness bathes them in gentle attention. Travel onwards, up into your large thigh muscles, the front and the back of your upper legs. These powerful muscles can hold a great deal of tension. Just notice what is there. Now bring your attention to your hips, your pelvis, the solid, bony cradle at the base of your torso. Feel the weight of your body resting here, the points of contact with the mattress. Allow this area to feel heavy, supported, and relaxed. Let your awareness flow into your abdomen, the area that rises and falls with your breath. Feel the gentle, rhythmic movement from the inside. This is the center of your physical being, a place of softness and life. Then, move your attention upwards into your chest. Feel the subtle movement of your ribcage, expanding with the in-breath and softening with the out-breath. Notice the beating of your heart within this space, the steady, faithful rhythm of your life. Travel around to your back, starting with the lower back, an area that often holds tension. Just notice any sensations there. Slowly scan up your spine, vertebra by vertebra, all the way up through your shoulder blades and to the base of your neck. Now, let your awareness flow down both of your arms simultaneously, down from your shoulders, through your upper arms, your elbows, your forearms, and into your hands. Pay special attention to your hands. Feel the palms, the back of the hands, and each finger, one by one, all the way to the fingertips. Your hands have done so much in this life. They have held, and worked, and created, and cared. Let them rest, now, completely, noticing any tingling or pulsing sensations within them. Bring your awareness back up your arms and into your neck and throat. This is another area where stress can accumulate. Gently notice any tightness and see if you can allow it to soften just a little. Now, bring your attention to your face, a landscape of so many small, expressive muscles. Relax your jaw. Let your tongue rest comfortably in your mouth. Soften the area around your eyes, letting your eyeballs feel heavy in their sockets. Smooth out your forehead, releasing any furrows of worry. Finally, let your awareness rest on the very top of your head, your scalp, and then, for a moment, feel your entire body as one single field of sensation, from the tips of your toes to the crown of your head, vibrating gently with life, breathing as a whole. During this journey, you have almost certainly encountered areas of discomfort or even outright pain. What is our usual reaction to pain? We tense up around it. We resist it. We create a story about it. This pain in my back is terrible. It's never going to go away. I can't stand it. The initial sensation is the first arrow, but all of this resistance, all of this mental storytelling, is a second arrow, which we shoot into ourselves. The second arrow is the suffering we add on top of the pain. This practice invites us to experience the first arrow without firing the second. When your awareness finds a place of pain, see if you can do something radical. See if, instead of tensing up and pulling away, you can soften around its edges. See if you can meet the raw sensation with curiosity instead of fear, and use the breath as your ally. As you breathe in, imagine your breath is a stream of warm, healing light, flowing directly into the heart of the discomfort. Don't try to force the pain away. Instead, just let the breath surround it. Hold it with compassion, and as you breathe out, imagine the tension and the hardness of the pain gently dissolving, flowing out of you with the exhalation. You are not fighting the pain, you are befriending it. You are allowing it to be there, and in doing so, you rob it of its power over you. The pain may or may not leave, but the suffering around it can dissolve in the warmth of your compassionate attention. Imagine your body is a house that you have lived in your entire life, but perhaps, for many years, you have been afraid to go into certain rooms. The room of the aching knee, the room of the stiff lower back. You keep the doors to those rooms closed, hoping that if you ignore them, they will go away. But the discomfort only grows louder behind the closed doors. This body scan practice is like taking a soft lamp, your gentle awareness, and a key, your breath, and deciding to finally open those doors. You are not going in to aggressively clean or renovate. You are simply stepping inside, holding up your lamp, and looking around with kindness. Ah, you say, so this is what's in here. You notice the dusty corners of tension, the broken furniture of old injuries, and by shining the light of your awareness on them, the dust begins to settle and the sharp edges begin to soften. You are making friends with your own home. You are reclaiming every room as a safe and welcome part of your being. Having made peace with our inner home, our body, we can now expand our awareness to the space that holds it. We have found the anchor of the breath, and we have brought its gentle light to the vessel of the body. Let us now turn our attention to the room itself, to the very darkness and silence that surrounds us, and learn to find a deep sanctuary right where we are. Having brought a kind and gentle awareness to the inner home of the body, letting it rest in the stability of the breath, we now expand our attention outwards. We turn to face the very environment that holds us, an environment that for many who struggle with sleep can feel more like a prison than a bedroom. We speak of the darkness and the silence of the night. On the surface, these seem like neutral conditions, the simple absence of light and sound. Yet, for the human mind, they are anything but neutral. They are charged with a primal power. Why do we so often fear them? Because the silence and the dark act as a great mirror. When the world outside finally hushes, when there are no more sights to see or sounds to distract, we are left alone with the contents of our own minds. The volume of our inner chatter, our anxieties and regrets, suddenly seems to be turned up to its highest setting. The silence does not create this noise. It simply reveals what was already there, hidden beneath the activities of the day. The darkness does not create our fears. It simply provides a blank screen upon which the mind can project them. Our instinct is to fight this, to fill the silence with the glow of a screen, to push back the darkness with distraction. But what if we chose a different path? What if, instead of adversaries, the silence and the dark could become our allies, our teachers? What if this room, right now, could be transformed from a cell of sleepless anxiety into a sacred sanctuary for healing? Let us first turn our attention to the silence. It surrounds you. For a mind accustomed to constant stimulation, this silence can feel unnerving, like a void. It can feel empty, desolate. Let us test that assumption. Let us engage in an act of radical listening. Right now, open your sense of hearing as wide as you can. What do you truly hear? At first, you may only notice the most obvious sounds, perhaps the low hum of a refrigerator in another room, or the gentle whirring of a fan, perhaps the distant sound of a car passing on a far-off street. Do not resist these sounds. Do not label them as interruptions to the quiet. Instead, receive them. Let them be the first layer of the night's symphony. Let each sound arise, be present, and then fade away, without you needing to hold on to it or push it away. Now, listen more deeply beneath these more obvious sounds. Listen for the subtleties. Can you hear the sound of the wind, however faint, breathing through the leaves of a tree outside your window? Can you hear the gentle creak and groan of the house as it settles like a great, sleeping animal? Can you hear the rustle of your own blanket as your chest rises and falls? These are the delicate textures of the silence. They are not breaking the silence. They are defining it, giving it character and depth. They are the brushstrokes on the vast canvas of the quiet night. Now, let us listen even more deeply. Bring your attention inward and listen for the sounds of your own body. Can you hear the quiet, steady rhythm of your own heart. It is a soft, muffled drumbeat that has been with you your entire life. It is the sound of your own life force. And perhaps, if you listen very, very closely, in the absolute stillness, you may begin to perceive a very faint, high-pitched hum or ringing sound. In some traditions, this is called the sound of silence itself. Do not be alarmed by it or try to make it go away. Just notice it. It is the sound of your own nervous system, the sound of the universe vibrating within you. By tuning into these layers of sound, you come to a profound realization. The silence is not empty. It is vibrantly, shimmeringly full. It is full of life. It is full of peace. The silence is not a void to be feared, but a presence to be felt. It is a vast, compassionate space that can hold all of your worries, all of your fears, all of your thoughts, without being disturbed by them. It is like the deep ocean, which remains profoundly still at its depths, no matter how turbulent the waves are on the surface. Allow yourself to sink into this deep, living silence. Let it hold you. Having made friends with the silence, let us now turn to its partner, the darkness. Our fear of the dark is ancient and deep-seated. It is a fear of the unknown, of what we cannot see. It makes us feel vulnerable, exposed. But this, too, is a perception that we can change. Let us reimagine the darkness. It is not an enemy, waiting to ambush us. Think of it, instead, as a great, soft blanket. At the end of a long day, the earth itself pulls this velvet cloak of darkness over its shoulders, to rest, to rejuvenate, to heal. The darkness is a universal invitation to cease striving. It asks nothing of you. It does not demand that you see, or analyze, or do anything at all. For a moment, if it feels comfortable, allow your eyes to be open, resting gently in the dim light of your room. Do not strain to make out shapes. Instead, let the darkness come to you. Feel its soft, cool quality. Notice that it is not a flat, absolute black. It has shades, depths, and movements. It is rich and gentle. Allow your eyes, which have worked so hard all day, to finally rest in this soothing balm. Let the darkness hold you. Feel yourself enveloped by it, as if you are floating in a warm, dark sea. There is nothing to see, and therefore, nothing to judge, nothing to fix, nothing to figure out. It is a profound rest for the entire nervous system. The darkness is not hiding threats. It is hiding a deep peace. It is a sanctuary where you can finally be safe from the relentless demands of the visual world and turn your attention completely inward. To complete the transformation of this space into a sanctuary, we can employ the gentle power of ritual. A ritual is simply an action performed with intention. It is a way of signaling to the deepest parts of our being that we are crossing a threshold, moving from one state of mind to another. It draws a sacred circle around our time of rest, separating it from the worries and chaos of the waking day. Your ritual does not need to be elaborate. It can be something wonderfully simple. It might be the act of drinking a cup of warm, caffeine-free tea, but doing so with your full attention, feeling the warmth of the mug in your hands, smelling the fragrant steam, tasting each sip, rather than drinking it absently while thinking of other things. Your ritual could be reading a single paragraph from a book of wisdom or a poem that brings you peace. It could be the simple, mindful act of turning down your bed sheets, smoothing them with care and intention. Or it could be sitting on the edge of your bed for just 2 minutes before you lie down, closing your eyes and connecting with the feeling of your breath, consciously leaving the day behind. The power is not in the complexity of the act, but in the sincerity of the intention. As you perform your small ritual, you are silently saying, I am now entering my sacred space of rest. I release the day. I welcome the peace of the night. This simple dedication consecrates the space, making it holy ground. There is a story of a great spiritual master who was asked where he found his profoundest insights. His students expected him to name a famous temple or a grand monastery, but he said, I found them in a dark, silent cave. He explained that in the bustling temple, there was always something to see, something to hear, something to do. But in the utter simplicity of the cave, with no distractions, no light, and no sound, he was forced to find the light within himself. He had to learn to hear the sound of his own heart. He had to face the contents of his own mind, and in doing so, he found a peace that was unshakable. Tonight, your bedroom can be this cave. The darkness and the silence are not deprivations, they are gifts. They are an invitation to the same inner journey. They provide the perfect conditions to discover the peace that is not dependent on outer circumstances. Now that we have transformed our outer environment into a peaceful sanctuary, making friends with the silence and the dark, we must turn to face the primary resident of this space. We must meet the one who makes all the noise in the quiet, the one who paints pictures on the darkness. It is time to meet, with kindness and curiosity, the restless, chattering presence we call the monkey mind. We have found a measure of peace in our physical home, the body. We have made a sanctuary of our external home, the quiet, dark room. And yet, even as the body lies still and the world outside is hushed, a relentless activity continues. A chatter, a restlessness, a constant parade of images, words, and emotions marches through the theater of the mind. Where does this noise come from? Why, when we most crave peace, does our mind seem to become its most chaotic? The ancient sages of Buddhism had a beautiful and deeply insightful name for this phenomenon. They called it the monkey mind. It is perhaps the most perfect metaphor ever conceived for the ordinary state of our consciousness. Imagine that your mind is a vast forest, and living in this forest is a restless, energetic, and slightly drunk monkey. This monkey cannot stay still for more than a moment. It swings wildly from one branch to another without any discernible pattern or reason. One moment, it is on the branch of a memory from childhood, tasting the sweetness of a long-forgotten fruit. An instant later, it leaps to a branch in the far future, chattering in fear at a shadowy shape that might be a predator. Then it's off to the branch of bodily sensation, scratching an itch. Then it swings to a branch of planning, meticulously arranging the leaves for a nest it will never build. It chatters endlessly, reacting to everything and everyone, lost in a constant, frantic search for the next distraction, the next stimulation. This is our mind. This is not a flaw or a personal failing. It is the default nature of an untrained mind. To recognize this is the first step toward compassion for ourselves. The problem is not that we have a monkey mind. Everyone does. The problem is that for most of our lives, we believe that we are the monkey. We mistake its frantic chatter for our own true voice. This monkey's nature evolved for a purpose. In a world full of real dangers and opportunities, this quick scanning, problem-solving mind was a tool for survival. During the day, it helps us navigate our complex lives, to plan, to analyze, to remember. But at night, when we lie down with the intention to rest, the monkey does not simply go to sleep. It has all this energy, all this training to solve problems, but now there are no external problems to solve. So, it turns inward. It turns a minor comment someone made last week into a major social catastrophe. It turns a small financial worry into an impending disaster. It turns a memory of a past mistake into a searing indictment of our entire character. The monkey needs something to do, and in the absence of real tigers to flee, it creates phantom tigers out of our own thoughts and fears. Our task, then, is not to hate this monkey or to wish it were gone. It is a part of us. It is our own vibrant, creative, and powerful mental energy. Our task is not one of eradication, but one of gentle, patient training. We must befriend this wild part of ourselves so that its energy can serve us rather than torment us through the long hours of the night. What is our typical response when we notice this inner chaos? We get angry. We get frustrated. We lie in the dark and command ourselves, stop thinking, or just clear your mind, or, oh, not this again. Just shut up. Let us return to our metaphor. Imagine you see that frantic monkey in the forest. What do you think would happen if you stood at the bottom of the tree and started screaming at it, telling it to be still? What if you tried to capture it and lock it in chains? The monkey would not become calm. It would become terrified. It would shriek louder, rattle its chains with all its might, and become 100 times more agitated and destructive than it was before. This is precisely what we do to ourselves. When we try to suppress our thoughts, when we fight with our own mind, we are creating a war within ourselves. The act of resistance is an act of tension. It tightens our muscles, quickens our breath, and floods our system with stress hormones. The struggle against the mind is what creates the suffering. The very energy we use to fight our thoughts is the energy that feeds them, making them stronger and more persistent. It is a fundamental law of the inner world. That which we resist persists. The battle itself is the reason we cannot find peace. So, we must lay down our arms. We must cease the futile war against our own nature. There is another way, a way of wisdom and profound peace. Instead of shouting at the monkey, instead of trying to chain it, what if we were to simply sit down at the base of the great tree of our mind? What if we were to just watch the monkey with a gentle, non-judgmental curiosity? This is the heart of mindfulness practice. We become the calm, silent observer of our own thoughts. We can use another beautiful metaphor here. Imagine you are lying on a patch of soft green grass on a perfect summer day, looking up at the sky. This vast, open blue sky is your awareness, your true nature, and your thoughts are the clouds that drift across it. Some clouds are dark and heavy, full of rain and thunder. These are your fears, your sorrows, your angers. Some clouds are light, white, and puffy, taking on delightful shapes. These are your happy memories, your pleasant daydreams. Some are just thin, wispy streaks that are barely there at all. These are the random, fleeting thoughts that pop in and out of your head. Your task, as the observer, is not to control the clouds. You cannot command the dark clouds to go away or force the pleasant clouds to stay. Your task is simply to watch them. You notice their shape, their color, their speed. You watch them arise at one end of the sky, drift through the center, and inevitably dissolve at the other end. You are the sky. You are not the clouds. By taking this position of the observer, you create a space between you and your thoughts. When a worry arises, instead of immediately becoming the worry, you can say to yourself, "Ah, look, there is a cloud of worry." When a sad memory appears, you can note, "Ah, sadness is passing through." This simple act of labeling, of noticing, separates you from the thought. You are no longer lost in the thought. You are aware of the thought. This changes everything. The goal is not an empty sky. An empty sky is rare and not the point. The goal is to realize that you are the sky, vast, open, and untouched by the clouds that pass through. There is a classic teaching story that illustrates this perfectly. In a village, people would trap monkeys using a clever jar with a narrow neck. They would place some nuts inside the jar and leave it out. A monkey would come along, smell the nuts, and slide its hand into the jar. It would grasp a big fistful of the delicious nuts. But now, its fist was too big to pull back out through the narrow neck of the jar. The monkey would pull and shriek and struggle, but it would not be able to get its hand out. It was trapped. But what was trapping it? It was not the jar. It was its own clenched fist. It was its own grasping, its own refusal to let go of the nuts. Its freedom was available in an instant. All it had to do was open its hand, release the nuts, and it could slide its hand out with ease. We are just like this monkey. We grasp onto a thought, a regret, a grievance, a worry. We clench our mental fist around it, replaying it over and over, refusing to let it go. And in doing so, we become trapped in the jar of our own mind. The peace we seek, the freedom we crave, is available to us in every moment. It lies in the simple, though not always easy, act of unclenching our fist. It lies in the wisdom of letting go. This practice of observing our monkey mind, of watching the clouds in the sky of our awareness, shows us which branches the monkey prefers, which clouds appear most often. One of the most well-worn paths in the entire forest of the mind leads directly into the past, specifically to the thorny branch of regret. Let us now turn our kind and patient awareness to this difficult place and learn not to fight with the sorrows of what has been, but to finally make peace with them. We have sat with our breath, our body, and our environment, creating a sanctuary of peace. We have become acquainted with the chattering monkey in our mind, learning to watch its antics with a patient, knowing smile. As we observe this monkey, we notice it has favorite pathways, well-worn branches. It returns to again and again. For so many of us, especially in the deep quiet of the night, the most frequented branch of all is the one that hangs heavy with the bitter fruits of regret. The mind travels back in time, not to learn or to appreciate, but to accuse. It becomes a courtroom where you are the prosecutor, the defendant, and the judge, endlessly retrying a case from decades ago. The verdict is always the same: guilty. The sentence is to feel the sting of that mistake, the ache of that loss, the shame of that failure, as if it were happening right now. This land of if only is a barren and painful place. If only I had said this instead of that. If only I had taken that job. If only I had been a better parent, a better partner, a better child. We lie in our beds, physically present in the comfort of our room, but emotionally and mentally, we are trapped in the prison of a past we can never change. This nightly pilgrimage into regret is one of the heaviest burdens we can carry. It is a thick, damp cloak that chills us to the bone, preventing the warmth of the present moment from ever reaching us. It drains our life force, consuming the precious energy of tonight with the ghosts of yesterday. The weight of this burden is immense because we fundamentally misunderstand the nature of our past mistakes. Our culture often teaches us to see mistakes as stains upon our character, as permanent marks of failure. We look back with the harsh, critical eyes of who we are today, with all the wisdom and experience we have since accumulated, and we judge the person we were back then. But this is an unfair trial. The person you were 10, 20, or 50 years ago did not know what you know now. That younger version of you was doing the very best they could with the awareness, the emotional tools, the knowledge, and the resources they had available to them in that moment. They were acting from their level of understanding at the time, which may have been limited, wounded, or fearful. To judge them by your current standards is to misunderstand the very process of living. The Buddhist perspective offers a much kinder and far more useful way of seeing. It teaches that mistakes are not failures. Mistakes are the curriculum. They are the unavoidable, essential, and deeply valuable lessons of a human life. Wisdom is not born from a perfect, error-free existence. Wisdom is the precious nectar that is distilled, drop by painful drop, from the bitter herbs of our errors. A life without mistakes would be a life without growth. A life without regrets would be a life without the capacity for reflection. Your past mistakes are not a testament to your failure. They are the very stepping stones that have brought you to the awareness you have today. Can you look back at that younger self, not with condemnation, but with a tender compassion? Can you see their struggle, their confusion, their good intentions that may have gone awry, and offer them a whisper of understanding across the years? This shift in perspective is the foundation. Now, we need a practice, a tool we can use in the middle of the night when a painful memory arises and hooks us. Let us use the powerful metaphor of a river. Imagine your life, all of time, is a great, flowing river. The past is everything that has already flowed from upstream. The future is everything that is yet to come from downstream. And you, your awareness, are standing right here, right now, on the solid bank of the present moment. This is the only place you can ever truly be. Now, when a memory of a past regret arises in your mind, see it for what it is. It is not something happening to you now. It is a piece of debris from far upstream, a log floating down the current of time. Perhaps it is the log of an unkind word you once said. Perhaps it is the log of a time you acted out of fear. Perhaps it is the heavy log of a deep loss. It appears on the horizon of your mind, carried by the river's flow. Your habitual reaction is to see the log, feel the old pain, and immediately jump from the solid bank into the cold, rushing water. You grab onto the heavy, waterlogged piece of wood, and you wrestle with it. You try to push it back upstream, an impossible task. You pull it onto the bank with you, examining its splinters and its rot, carrying its immense weight on your shoulders. And so, you remain trapped, wet, and exhausted on the riverbank, defined by a piece of driftwood from long ago. The practice is to do something radically different. It is to learn to stay on the bank. When you see the log of a regretful memory approaching, you plant your feet firmly in the present moment. You feel the anchor of your breath, and you simply watch the log. You acknowledge it. Ah, I see that memory. I remember that. You do not deny it, but you do not jump in. You stand on the bank, and you observe it as it floats by. You watch it emerge. You watch it occupy the space in front of you, and you watch it as the current carries it further and further downstream until it becomes smaller and smaller and eventually disappears from view. This is the wisdom of impermanence in action. The event itself is over. The moment is gone. Its only power to harm you now lies in your choice to continually pull it out of the river of the past and into the sacred space of your present. Each time a memory arises and you let it float by without jumping in, you are weakening its hold on you. You are reclaiming your energy. You are choosing the solid ground of the present moment over the turbulent waters of the past. It requires patience. It requires practice. You may find yourself in the water again and again, but each time you realize it, you can gently guide yourself back to the riverbank, dry yourself off, and begin again, watching the endless flow of time with a newfound sense of peace and detachment. There is a beautiful Zen story that captures this teaching perfectly. Two monks, an older one and a younger one, were on a long journey. They came to a river where a beautiful young woman was standing, afraid to cross because the current was strong, and she did not want to ruin her fine clothes. Without a word, the older monk walked over to her, lifted her up into his arms, carried her across the swirling river, and gently set her down on the other side. He bowed, and the two monks continued their journey. Hours passed. The younger monk grew more and more agitated, his face a mask of disapproval. Finally, he could not contain himself any longer, and he burst out, "Brother, how could you do that? We are monks. We have taken vows not to touch a woman. It is forbidden. What you did was a serious transgression." The older monk listened patiently, a faint smile on his lips. When the younger monk had finished his tirade, the older monk looked at him with great compassion and said softly, "Brother, I put that woman down by the river hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" This question is for all of us. As we lie awake in the quiet of the night, what are you still carrying? What arguments? What hurts? What mistakes? What losses are you still hauling on your back? Long after the moment has passed over the horizon of time, the river of life continues to flow. We can choose to be dragged down by the weight of what has been, or we can learn the profound grace of letting go, of standing on the bank, and allowing the past to be the past. By learning to let these heavy logs of regret float by, we make space in our hearts. We clear the cluttered ground of our minds. This allows us to notice that not everything that comes from the past is a burden. In fact, right next to the river, there is also a beautiful garden we can choose to tend. Let us now turn our attention away from the turbulent river of regret and toward the quiet, fragrant paths of the garden of beautiful memories. Having learned to stand on the riverbank, allowing the heavy, waterlogged logs of regret to float by without pulling them ashore, we find ourselves with a newfound sense of space. The mind, previously cluttered with the debris of the past, now has room to breathe. But what shall we do with this space? It is not enough to simply stop engaging with the painful parts of our past. We must also learn to actively cultivate the beautiful ones. For too long, we have allowed our attention to be dominated by what went wrong. We have focused on the thorns, the weeds, the barren patches of our life's journey. Now, we will shift our gaze. We will turn from the turbulent river of regret and walk into the quiet, fragrant pathways of a place that also exists within us. The garden of beautiful memories. This garden has been here all along, but perhaps we have neglected it, believing it to be less real or less important than our sorrows. Tonight, we will learn the gentle art of tending this garden, of watering its flowers, and of allowing its beauty to nourish us in the present moment. To do this, we must first understand a peculiar quirk of our own minds. Our brains have what psychologists call a negativity bias. This means that our mind is like Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive ones. A painful memory, a criticism, a failure will stick to us with incredible tenacity. A joyful moment, a compliment, a success tends to slide right off unless we make a conscious effort to hold on to it. This is not a personal failing, but an ancient evolutionary survival mechanism. For our distant ancestors, it was far more important to remember the one time they saw a tiger near the waterhole than the 99 times they had a peaceful drink. Remembering the one poisonous berry was more crucial for survival than remembering all the sweet, harmless ones. This bias, which once kept us safe from physical threats, now often keeps us trapped in a state of mental and emotional distress. It means that even if a life has been filled with 90% joy and 10% sorrow, the mind, left to its own devices in the middle of the night, will almost always wander to the 10%. It will endlessly chew on the painful memories, giving them a weight and a reality that far exceeds their actual proportion in our life story. Recognizing this inherent bias is liberating. It means we don't have to believe the mind's gloomy narrative. It also means that if we want to experience more peace and joy, we must consciously and intentionally choose to focus on the good. It requires a gentle but deliberate effort to override our default programming and to give the beautiful moments the attention they deserve. This is the practice of tending the garden. It is a form of meditation, a positive reminiscence. Let us begin now. I invite you to let your mind drift back over the vast landscape of your life and to choose one flower. It does not need to be a grand, prize-winning rose from a major life event, like a wedding or a graduation, though it certainly can be. Often, the most potent memories are the small, simple, perfect blossoms. Perhaps it is the memory of laughing so hard with a dear friend that tears streamed down your face. Perhaps it is the memory of the taste of a perfect cup of coffee on a quiet morning. It could be the memory of sitting on a porch, watching a thunderstorm roll in from a safe distance. It might be the memory of a beloved pet, the feeling of their warm body curled up beside you, their soft fur under your hand. It could be the memory of holding a tiny grandchild for the first time, feeling their small fingers wrap around one of yours. Choose one memory, no matter how small, that brings with it a feeling of warmth, of contentment, of simple joy. Once you have chosen your memory, your flower, we are going to do more than just think about it. We are going to enter it with all of our senses, to make it as real and as vivid as possible. Let us start with sight. What did you see in that moment? Don't just remember the general scene. Look for the details. What were the colors? How was the light? Was it the golden light of late afternoon or the soft gray light of a cloudy day? Can you see the expression on a person's face, the twinkle in their eye? Can you see the intricate patterns on a leaf or the way steam rose from a hot drink? Recreate the visual world of that memory in your mind's eye. Now, let us add sound. What did you hear? Was there laughter, music, the sound of birdsong, or the gentle hum of a quiet room? Was there conversation? If so, you don't need to remember every word, just the gentle, loving tone of the voices. Listen to the soundtrack of your memory. Next, we invite the sense of touch. What did you feel against your skin? The warmth of the sun, the coolness of a breeze, the rough texture of a tree's bark, or the smooth, soft fabric of a favorite sweater? Can you recall the feeling of a hug, the firm, safe pressure of loving arms around you? Now, what about smell and taste? Were there any particular aromas in the air? The smell of freshly cut grass, or rain on dry earth? The scent of perfume or a familiar cologne? The smell of a favorite meal cooking? Did you taste anything? The sweetness of a fruit? The saltiness of the sea air? Take your time. Wander through your memory, gathering these sensory details, making it a living, breathing experience right here, right now. As you immerse yourself in this sensory richness, notice what begins to happen in your heart, in your body. Notice the emotions that arise. It may be a quiet feeling of contentment. It may be a surge of deep love, a wave of gratitude, a simple, uncomplicated happiness. This is the nectar of the flower. The practice now is to savor it, instead of quickly moving on to the next thought, as the monkey mind loves to do. I invite you to marinate in this positive feeling. Let it soak into every cell of your being. If the feeling is warmth in your chest, let that warmth spread through your entire torso, down your arms, down your legs. If it's a smile on your face, Let that smile soften your jaw, your eyes, your forehead. You are not just remembering a past joy, you are experiencing it anew. In doing this, you are actively changing your brain. You are strengthening the neural pathways of happiness, peace, and love. You are, quite literally, watering the flowers in your garden, encouraging them to grow stronger, more vibrant, and more resilient. You are reminding your entire being that joy is a real and accessible part of your story. When you practice this regularly, you are not just having pleasant moments. You are building an inner resource. You are creating a sanctuary, a secret garden within your own mind that you can visit anytime you wish. This is not about escaping reality or denying that difficulties exist. It is about building resilience. When the cold winds of anxiety blow in the middle of the night, when the shadow of loneliness falls upon you, you now have a place to go. You can consciously choose to turn away from the path of worry and fear, and instead, walk the fragrant paths of your inner garden. You can sit for a while with the memory of that shared laughter, or that perfect sunset, or that loving embrace. This inner sanctuary becomes your anchor in difficult times. It is a source of strength that cannot be taken away from you. It provides balance to the mind's inherent negativity bias, reminding you that your life is a vast landscape that contains not only deserts and rocky plains, but also these lush, beautiful, and life-giving gardens. For so long, our inner work can feel like nothing more than endless weeding. We are told to examine our faults, to face our demons, to pull up the thorny weeds of our regrets and our shortcomings. We pull and we strain, and at the end of the day, we are often just left feeling exhausted, staring at a patch of bare, upturned earth. We forget the other, equally important, half of gardening. We forget the joy of planting seeds, of watering the blossoms, of celebrating the beauty that is already there. Both tasks are necessary. The weeding clears the space, but it is the tending of the flowers that fills that space with fragrance, color, and life. Your life story is not a mere catalogue of your errors. It is this vast and varied garden. You have the power, in every moment, to choose where you will place the gentle, life-giving sunlight of your attention. Tending this garden requires us to do both kinds of work. We have learned to let the heavy logs of regret float down the river, and we have learned to water the delicate flowers of joy. Now, we must approach one of the toughest and most pervasive weeds in the entire garden, a weed whose tangled roots can choke the life out of all the flowers that grow near it. This is the deep-rooted weed of resentment, and this brings us to the powerful, liberating, and often misunderstood act of forgiveness. Having tended to our inner garden, letting the logs of regret float by, and watering the flowers of joyful memory, we must now turn to one of the most stubborn and toxic weeds of all. It is a weed that can wrap its roots around the heart, poisoning the soil so that nothing beautiful can grow nearby. This is the weed of resentment, of anger, of the refusal to forgive. In the stillness of the night, the mind can return with searing clarity to moments when we were wronged, betrayed, or deeply hurt. It replays the scene, restokes the anger, and polishes the grievance until it shines like a dark jewel. We hold on to this grievance, believing it gives us power, believing it proves how right we were and how wrong the other person was. But the Buddha offered a powerful image for this state of being. He said that holding on to anger and resentment is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. While you wait for the right moment, while you fuel your anger and nurse your wound, the coal is not burning them. It is searing your own hand. You are the one who is being consumed by its heat. Unforgiveness is a poison we drink, hoping the other person will die. It is a self-inflicted torment that tethers us to the worst moments of our lives, forcing us to relive our pain again and again. It is the act of building a prison of our own past, handing the key to the person who hurt us, and waiting for them to set us free. But they will never come. The key is, and always has been, in our own hand. Forgiveness is the act of turning that key and walking out into the sunshine, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. It is crucial to understand what forgiveness is, and perhaps more importantly, what it is not. The mind, in its desire to protect us, will raise many objections. It will say that to forgive is to be weak, to let the other person get away with it. This is a profound misunderstanding. Forgiveness is not condoning. It is not saying that what happened was acceptable, right, or okay. The hurt was real. The harm was real. Forgiveness does not erase the event. It transforms our relationship to it. Forgiveness is not forgetting. The memory may always be there, but it no longer has to be an open, festering wound. It can become a scar, a sign that we were hurt, but we have healed. Forgiveness does not necessarily mean reconciliation. You do not have to invite this person back into your life, have dinner with them, or become their friend. It is a private, internal act. You can forgive someone completely and never see or speak to them again. Forgiveness, ultimately, is not for them. It is a gift of liberation that you give to yourself. It is the courageous act of choosing your own peace of mind over the toxic, exhausting burden of being right. It is a declaration of emotional sovereignty, stating, "You no longer have the power to cause me pain. The original event is over, and I will no longer continue to harm myself by keeping it alive within me." It is the ultimate act of self-love. Let us now engage in a gentle practice of forgiveness. Find a place of stability in your breath. I invite you to bring to mind someone who has caused you pain. It is often wise to start with a smaller hurt, not the most traumatic wound of your life. The practice is like strengthening a muscle. It is best to start with lighter weights. Bring the image of this person into your mind. Allow yourself to acknowledge the pain associated with them. See the event, feel the sadness, the anger, the sense of betrayal. Do not push it away. For a moment, just acknowledge its reality in your heart. Yes, you can say silently, "This was painful. This caused me suffering." Now, holding that person in your mind's eye, see if you can look at them through the lens of compassion. Recognize that they, too, are a human being, acting from their own level of awareness, their own pain, their own confusion. Hurt people hurt people. See if you can silently, in your own heart, offer them these words, or words like them. "I have been holding on to this anger and resentment for a long time, and it has caused me great pain. I see that you acted from your own suffering. For the harm you caused me, knowingly or unknowingly, I am working to forgive you. I wish for you to be peaceful. I wish for you to be free. And now, for the most important part, say to them in your heart, I no longer wish to carry this burden. For my own peace, I release you." As you say this, you can imagine a cord of dark energy that has connected you to this person. With a pair of golden scissors, you gently, peacefully cut that cord. Watch them and the cord dissolve into light or simply fade away. Feel the space that is left. It might feel empty or light or peaceful. Just rest in that space, breathing. You can repeat this practice as many times as you need. It is a process, not a single event. Now we turn to the final and often most difficult frontier of forgiveness. For many of us, the person we find it hardest to forgive is the one who stares back at us from the mirror. We hold ourselves to impossible standards of perfection. We are our own harshest critics, our own most relentless judges. We carry the hot coal of self-recrimination for mistakes we made, for times we failed to live up to our own values, for ways we may have hurt others or ourselves. We must learn to turn the gentle balm of forgiveness inward. I invite you now to bring an image of yourself to mind, perhaps a younger version of yourself from the time of a mistake you regret. See that person in all their confusion and imperfection. Look at them with the same compassion you would offer a dear, struggling friend, and offer these words to yourself: for the ways I have caused harm, to myself or to others, through my words, my actions, or my thoughts, I am learning to forgive myself. I was doing the best I could at the time, with the awareness and the tools I had. For the times I have judged myself so harshly, I forgive myself. For the ways I have carried this burden of shame, I forgive myself. Place a hand on your own heart, feel its warmth, and say, I release myself from the prison of my own judgment. I am worthy of peace. I am worthy of my own love. Breathe into that feeling of self-acceptance. There is a teaching from the great Thai meditation master, Ajahn Chah, that illuminates this entire path. He would often hold up a beautiful glass, a simple drinking glass, for his students. He would say, I love this glass. It is beautiful, and it brings me great joy when I drink from it. But then he would add, to me, this glass is already broken. He explained that he enjoyed the glass. He cared for it, but he understood its impermanent nature. He knew that one day it would inevitably be dropped or knocked over, and it would shatter. And because he had lived with the understanding that the glass was already broken, when the day finally came that it did shatter, he would not be distressed. He would simply look at the pieces and say, of course, this is the key to forgiveness. People, including ourselves, are like this glass. We are all imperfect. We are all flawed. We are all, in our own way, already broken. We are born into this world with our human frailties, our fears, our insecurities. We will, inevitably, disappoint and hurt one another. It is the nature of things. When we demand perfection from others and from ourselves, we are constantly surprised, shocked, and wounded when the glass breaks. But when we can cultivate a deep acceptance of the inherent imperfection of being human, forgiveness becomes the most natural thing in the world. We can let go of our grievances with a compassionate sigh. Of course, this deep acceptance of imperfection frees us from the tyranny of past events, from what actually happened. But the restless monkey mind has another favorite haunt, another ghostly forest it loves to explore in the middle of the night. It is the land of what could have been. Having made peace with what was, let us now turn our attention to the phantom worlds of what if, and learn how to release the beautiful, painful ghosts of lives we never lived. We have walked through the difficult terrain of the past, learning to let go of our grip on regrets and resentments. We have made peace with what was, but the restless mind has another, more subtle and seductive way of binding us to the past. It is the realm of the ghosts, the shimmering, beautiful, painful ghosts of the lives we never lived. In the quiet of the night, the mind can wander down a phantom path to a crossroads from long ago where we turned left and begin to spin a magnificent fantasy of what would have happened if we had only turned right. What if I had married my first love? The mind whispers, and it creates a feature-length film of a life of perfect, unbroken happiness. What if I had taken that job overseas? And it paints a picture of thrilling adventure and worldly success. What if I had never gotten sick? What if I had moved to that other city? What if that person had not died? These are the worlds of what if. They are phantom limbs that ache for a life we never had. We lie in our beds, and our hearts ache with a strange and poignant grief, a mourning for a life that was never actually real. This comparison is a poison for the soul. It is the perfect recipe for dissatisfaction, a way to render the real blessings of our actual lives dull and colorless in the brilliant, imaginary light of the fantasy. The mind is a master storyteller. When it constructs these alternate realities, it does so with a powerful bias. The life where you married the other person is always blissful, free of the daily frictions, the disappointments, and the simple boredom that are a part of any real, long-term relationship. The career you didn't choose is always glamorous and fulfilling, without the stress, the difficult colleagues, or the inevitable setbacks that come with any actual job. The mind conveniently edits out all the potential difficulties of the imagined path and contrasts this perfect fantasy with the messy, complicated, and imperfect reality of the life you are actually living. It's a rigged game, a comparison you can never win. This act of constant, painful comparison is an act of profound disrespect to the life you have actually been given. It is like having a faithful, loving partner by your side, while you spend all your time dreaming of an imaginary lover. It dishonors the very ground you stand on, the ground that has supported you, nourished you, and taught you everything you know. This is a primary source of the deep existential ache that can haunt us in the sleepless hours. We are caught between a real life that we have been conditioned to see as flawed, and a perfect life that exists only as a ghost in the machine of the mind. The first step toward liberation from this particular torment is a moment of awakening, a flash of insight. It is the realization of a simple, profound truth. These other lives are not real. They are fantasies. They are mental fabrications. They have no more substance than a dream you had last night. They are ghosts. The only thing that is real, the only thing that has ever been real, is this life, right here. The reality of your body resting in this bed. The reality of the air moving in and out of your lungs. The reality of the sounds in the room. This present moment is your only true home. The practice, then, is to become a vigilant and gentle guardian of your own mind. It is to learn to recognize when the mind has begun to drift away from reality and into one of these phantom worlds. When you notice the familiar ache, the telltale thought that begins with, "if only," the practice is not to scold yourself, but simply to notice. You can create a gentle mental label. When the fantasy begins to play, you can say to yourself, softly, "Ah, this is a what if story," or "this is imaginary thinking," or simply dreaming. This label acts like a gentle bell of mindfulness. It doesn't shatter the fantasy with violence. It simply reminds you that you are watching a movie, not living a reality. It creates a tiny, precious space between you, the observer, and the story itself. Once you have labeled the thought, the next step is to gently, and with great kindness, escort your attention back home, back to the reality of the present moment. You can bring your focus back to the physical sensation of the breath in your belly. You can feel the weight of the blankets on your body. You can listen to the quiet hum of the night. You bring your mind back to something tangible, something real. You may have to do this 100 times in a single night. The mind is addicted to its stories, especially the beautiful, tragic ones. But each time you gently bring it back, you are casting a vote. You are voting for reality over fantasy. You are voting for the life you have, over the lives you imagine. Each return is an act of loyalty to your own, unique, unrepeatable existence. It is a strengthening of the muscle of presence, a deep affirmation that I am here, now, and this is enough. This practice is not just about dismissing the fantasy. It is also about learning to embrace the reality. It is about turning to the life you have actually lived and seeing it not as a consolation prize, but as the sacred, necessary, and perfect path that was meant for you. Look back at the twists and turns of your life, the so-called wrong decisions, the unexpected hardships, the painful detours. We must stop seeing these as mistakes that led us away from a better life. They were the curriculum. They were the very things that forged the person you are today. That difficult job taught you patience. That failed relationship taught you the depths of your own heart. That period of struggle taught you what you are truly made of. The person who is lying here tonight, with the wisdom to seek peace, with the compassion to care for their own heart, this person was born directly out of that specific, crooked, imperfect, and beautiful path. If you had taken that other road, you would not be you. You would be a stranger. Can you feel a sense of gratitude for the path you have walked? Can you honor all of it? The joy and the sorrow, the successes and the failures, as the holy ingredients that have created the unique soul that is you. This is the ultimate antidote to the what-if poison. It is a deep and abiding love for your own story. There is a timeless Taoist story that perfectly illustrates this wisdom. An old farmer in a poor village had one prized possession, a beautiful horse. One day, the horse ran away. All the villagers came to console him, saying, "Oh, what terrible luck." The farmer simply shrugged and replied, "Good luck? Bad luck? Who knows?" A week later, the horse returned, and it brought with it a herd of wild horses. The villagers rejoiced, saying, "What incredible good luck!" The farmer just replied, "Good luck? Bad luck? Who knows?" The farmer's son then began to train the wild horses. While riding one, he was thrown off and broke his leg. The villagers were distraught. "Your only son, such awful bad luck," they cried. The farmer replied, "Good luck? Bad luck? Who knows?" A few weeks later, the emperor's army marched into the village, conscripting all the able-bodied young men for a brutal war from which few would return. But the farmer's son, because of his broken leg, was spared. This story teaches us the folly of judging our lives based on single events or decisions. We can never know the full, cascading consequences of any choice. The perfect life we imagine might have led to an unforeseen disaster. The wrong turn we took may have saved us from a terrible fate we could never have predicted. The wisdom lies in accepting that we cannot know, and therefore, it is a futile and painful waste of our precious life energy to endlessly speculate. This profound acceptance of not knowing frees us from the ghosts of the past, both the ghosts of what was and the ghosts of what might have been. It dissolves the power of regret and fantasy. It plants our feet firmly and gratefully on the only ground that truly exists, the ground of the here and now. And it is from this solid foundation of the present moment that we can now begin to explore the most fundamental law of reality, a truth that, when deeply understood, has the power to dissolve our deepest anxieties. Let us now turn our full attention to the great, liberating, and universal wisdom of impermanence. We have stood on the firm ground of the present moment, releasing the ghosts of what was and what might have been. We have made a sanctuary of our room and a friend of our body. Now, having arrived in the here and now, we must ask a fundamental question. What is the nature of this reality we are experiencing? What is the nature of this body, this mind, this world? The deepest wisdom of the Buddha's teaching points to a single, universal, and inescapable truth. It is a truth we see everywhere, yet constantly try to deny. This is the truth of impermanence. In the ancient Pali language, it is called anicca. It simply means that everything changes. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is fixed. Everything is in a constant state of flux. This is not a complex philosophy, but a direct observation of reality. Our modern culture, however, is a frantic search for permanence. We seek eternal youth, lasting success, a love that never fades, a state of happiness that is stable and secure. We try to build solid ground in the middle of a flowing river, and this very struggle, this resistance to the fundamental law of the universe, is the source of our deepest anxiety and suffering. Tonight, we will not resist. We will gently turn our minds toward this truth, and in it, find a profound and unexpected liberation. Let us look around us, and within us, for the evidence of this truth. Look at the grandest scale. The mountains, which seem so solid and eternal, are slowly being worn down by wind and rain. The stars in the night sky, which appear as fixed points of light, are colossal furnaces that are being born, burning through their fuel and dying over eons. Great empires rise, flourish, and crumble to dust. The seasons turn, one into the other, in a ceaseless, beautiful cycle. Nothing in the outer world is static. Now, bring your attention to your own body, this vessel that feels so much like you. This body is the most intimate proof of impermanence. You were once a helpless infant, then a curious child, a vibrant adolescent, a capable adult, and now an elder, carrying the map of your years upon your skin. Every cell in your body is constantly dying and being replaced. The person you see in a photograph from 20 years ago is, in a very real, physical sense, no longer here. Your body is not a solid object, like a statue carved from stone. It is a process. It is a river of change, a slow-motion dance of arising and passing away. The same is true for our inner world, which feels even more personal. Consider your thoughts. Where was the thought you just had a moment ago? It appeared from nowhere, lingered for a second, and has already vanished, replaced by another. The mind is a waterfall of arising and passing thoughts. And what of your emotions, which can feel so solid and overwhelming in the middle of the night? Think of a time you felt pure joy. Where is that feeling now? Think of a time you were consumed by anger. Where did that fire go? Feelings of sadness, peace, frustration, and love are like the weather. They are atmospheric conditions that pass through the vast sky of your awareness. They are not permanent fixtures. Even your personality, your beliefs, your opinions, the very things you consider to be the bedrock of your self-have, changed so much over the course of your life. The world you saw as a child is not the world you see now. The truth of impermanence is undeniable. Everything, from the distant galaxies to the most intimate sensations in your heart, is stamped with this one universal characteristic. It is changing. What does this have to do with the pain, the loneliness, the anxiety of a sleepless night? It has everything to do with it. This wisdom is the most powerful medicine. When you are lying in the dark and a physical pain arises, an ache in your hip, a stiffness in your back, the mind immediately creates a story. It leaps into the future and says, "This is my reality now. This pain will be here forever. It will only get worse." This story of forever is what creates the terror and the tension that makes the pain unbearable. The wisdom of impermanence is a direct antidote. You can bring your attention to the pain, and you can whisper to it with a gentle, knowing kindness. You too are impermanent. You are a process. You are changing. Even now, you will not last forever. This does not mean the pain will magically vanish in that instant, but it removes the terrifying dimension of always. It allows you to relax around the pain, to give it space, to see it as a temporary weather condition, rather than a permanent feature of your landscape. The same is true for emotional pain. When a wave of deep loneliness washes over you, and it feels like the most solid, absolute reality in the universe, you can meet it with this wisdom. This feeling of loneliness is here now. I feel it, but it is not a permanent stain on my being. It is a cloud passing through the sky of my mind. It, too, shall pass. This very state of sleeplessness is impermanent. You have been asleep before, and you will be asleep again. The sun will rise, the night will end. Nothing is fixed. This truth breaks the spell of hopelessness. This teaching is not meant to be pessimistic. It does not mean that life is pointless, because everything fades. In fact, it leads to the opposite conclusion. Impermanence is what makes life so incredibly precious. If you were given a single perfect rose, but you were told it would last forever, you might place it on a shelf and soon take it for granted. But if you know that the rose will wilt and its petals will fall in just a few days, how do you treat it? You cherish it. You admire its color. You breathe in its fragrance. You feel the soft texture of its petals with a heightened sense of wonder and appreciation. You are fully present with it because you know its beauty is fleeting. This is how we can learn to live our lives. This moment, this very breath, is precious because it will never come again in exactly this way. The presence of a loved one is precious because you both are changing, and this time together is finite. The simple joy of a warm drink, the beauty of the moonlight on the floor, these moments become sacred gifts when we understand their transient nature. We stop chasing the impossible dream of permanence and instead begin to fully inhabit the rich, vibrant, and ever-changing reality of the present moment. Resisting change is like trying to stand firm in the middle of a powerful river, being battered by the current. It is exhausting and ultimately impossible. The path of wisdom is to learn to be in the boat, to flow with the river of life, using our awareness and skill to navigate its currents with grace. There is a profound story that illustrates the healing power of this wisdom. A young woman named Kisa Gotami had an infant son whom she adored, and the child died. Driven mad by grief, she refused to accept his death. She picked up his small body and went from house to house, begging everyone she met for medicine that could bring him back to life. Some people mocked her, others turned away in pity. Finally, a wise man saw her immense suffering and told her, "I cannot give you medicine, but I know someone who can. Go to the Buddha." She rushed to the Buddha and pleaded with him to save her son. The Buddha looked at her with infinite compassion and said, "There is only one thing I need to make the medicine. Go back into the village and bring me a single mustard seed from a house where no Waneno child, no parent, no spouse, no Savanthus ever died." Hopeful, Kisa Gotami went from door to door. At every house, the people were happy to give her a mustard seed, but when she asked if anyone in that house had ever died, the story was always the same. One person said, "I have lost my husband." Another said, "My parents died last year." A third said, "Do not remind me of my deepest sorrow, the death of my child." She went to every house in the village and could not find a single home untouched by death. The truth began to dawn on her. Her personal, agonizing grief was not hers alone. It was the shared, universal experience of all human beings. She saw that the living are few, but the dead are many. This profound realization of the universality of loss and impermanence is what allowed her to finally heal. She was able to let go of her desperate clinging, and her great sorrow was transformed into great wisdom. Our suffering from old age, from sickness, from losso, often feels intensely personal, as if we are being singled out for punishment. But the wisdom of impermanence shows us that we are simply part of the great, natural, universal flow of arising and passing away. There is a deep peace in this understanding. We are not alone. We are part of the river. This wisdom of impermanence shows us that everything we can experience, our body, our feelings, our thoughts, is in constant flow. But this raises an even deeper question. If everything is changing, where is the permanent I who is experiencing all of this? If my body is not the same, my thoughts are not the same, my feelings are not the same from one moment to the next, then who am I? This profound inquiry leads us directly to the next great truth, a truth that can be the most liberating of all. Let us now explore the wisdom of no self. We have stood before the great river of impermanence, seeing how everything we can perceive, our bodies, our thoughts, our feelings, the world itself, is in a state of constant, ceaseless flow. This understanding is a profound medicine, bringing peace by reminding us that no state, pleasant or painful, lasts forever. But this observation leads to an even deeper, more radical question, a question that sits at the very heart of human identity. If everything is changing, if the body I have now is not the body I had as a child, if the thoughts I have now are not the thoughts I had a moment ago, if my feelings are as fleeting as the weather, then who, exactly, is this I that is experiencing all of this? We live our entire lives with the unquestioned assumption that inside this changing body and mind, there is a permanent, unchanging core, a me, an essential self, a soul, a driver at the wheel. We say, I am in pain, my thoughts are troubling me, I am lonely. The entire structure of our language and our suffering is built upon this solid sense of I. Tonight, with great gentleness, we are going to investigate this assumption. This is the teaching the Buddha called anatta, or no self. It is perhaps the most challenging and counterintuitive of all his teachings, but it is also the one that holds the key to the ultimate liberation, the most profound peace. We are not seeking to destroy the self, but to see through an illusion that has caused us immense suffering. The teaching invites us to become gentle detectives, to look for this self we believe in so strongly. Where does it reside? Let us look at the components that make up our experience. The Buddha described a human being as a combination of 5 changing processes, 5 bundles of energy. Let us examine them one by one to see if we can find a permanent I hiding within any of them. The first is the physical body. Is this body you? We have already seen that it is a river of impermanence. It is constantly aging, changing, decaying. It feels pleasure and pain. It was once small and will one day be dust. It is a process, not a permanent entity. So the permanent I cannot be found here. The second bundle is feeling. These are the raw sensations of pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral that arise when we contact the world. Is your feeling of sadness you? Is your feeling of joy you? We know from experience that these feelings are fleeting. They come and go like clouds. So the permanent, unchanging, I cannot be found in our feelings. The third bundle is perception. This is the mental function that recognizes and labels things. It sees a shape and color and labels it lamp. It feels a sensation and labels it pain. Are these labels you? Perceptions are learned, conditioned, and often mistaken. They are not a solid self. The fourth bundle is perhaps the one we most identify with. These are our mental formations. This includes all our thoughts, our habits, our opinions, our beliefs, our moods, our intentions, the entire chatter of the monkey mind. But are these thoughts you? We have learned to sit on the riverbank and watch our thoughts float by. If we can watch them, we cannot be them. They arise and they cease. They are conditioned patterns, not a core identity. Finally, there is the fifth bundle, consciousness. This is the raw faculty of knowing, the awareness that sees, hears, tastes, touches, and thinks. We might think, this is it. This awareness is the real me, the soul. But the Buddha taught that even consciousness is a flickering, dependent process. Visual consciousness arises when an eye meets a form. Auditory consciousness arises when an ear meets a sound. It is not a singular, abiding entity, but a series of momentary flashes of knowing, dependent on conditions. So, when we conduct this honest investigation, we find something astonishing. We look through all the components of our being, and we cannot find a separate, permanent, unchanging I anywhere. This self that we cherish and defend with all our might is not a solid thing, but a temporary combination of these 5 changing processes. It is a verb, not a noun. It's a convenient label we give to the ever-shifting stream of body and mind. This might sound like a dry philosophical exercise, but its practical application is the key that can unlock the prison of suffering, especially in the dark of night. Let us take the experience of physical pain. The habitual thought is, I am in pain. This thought instantly creates a solid, heavy block of suffering. The I and the pain become fused into one miserable entity. Now, let's apply the wisdom of anatta. Instead of I am in pain, we learn to observe the process impersonally. There is a body. Within this body, a physical sensation is arising. The third bundle, perception, labels this sensation pain. The second bundle, feeling, registers this as unpleasant. The fourth bundle, mental formations, creates the thought, I don't like this, and perhaps this will never end. Do you see the difference? Instead of a single, solid block of I am in pain, we see a series of interconnected but impersonal events. There is a sensation, there is a feeling, there is a thought. The I who is the victim of the pain has disappeared. The pain might still be there as a raw sensation, but the suffering around it, the story of me being in pain, begins to dissolve. The same is true for emotional pain. The habitual thought is, I am anxious. We fuse with the anxiety. We become it. The anatta practice is to see, the mental state of anxiety is present in the mind. The body is feeling a tightness in the chest. Unpleasant feelings are here. By deconstructing the experience, we disidentify from it. You are not the anxiety. You are the awareness that knows anxiety is present. This creates a space of freedom. The anxiety is just another cloud passing through the vast sky of your awareness. It is not you. This is the great secret. The pain, the fear, the loneliness, they lose their terrifying power when we stop taking them so personally. This leads to the great liberation. If there is no solid, separate self, think of what that means. What is fear? Fear is always about protecting the self. We are afraid of the self feeling pain, of the self experiencing loss, of the self getting sick, of the self dying. But if this solid self is an illusion, what is there to be so afraid of? If the self is just a fluid process, constantly changing, constantly flowing, then who is this fragile entity that needs such constant, anxious protection? The struggle relaxes. And what of loneliness? Loneliness is the painful feeling of a separate self, cut off from others, isolated in its own skin. But if the idea of a separate self is a fiction, then the boundaries between me and you, between me and the universe, become soft and permeable. We are not isolated islands. We are all waves in the same great ocean of existence, arising and passing away together. The sense of lonely separation gives way to a feeling of profound connection. This is the freedom the Buddha spoke of. Not a freedom for the self to get what it wants, but the much deeper freedom from the self and its endless, exhausting cycle of craving and fear. There is a simple analogy for this profound truth. Imagine you want to find the essence of an onion. You believe that deep inside, there must be a core, a pit, a seed that is the true onion. So you begin to peel it, layer by layer. This outer, papery layer, you peel it off. This next, thicker layer, you peel it away. You continue this process, peeling layer after layer, going deeper and deeper, searching for the central core. And when you have peeled away the very last, tiny layer, what do you find? You find nothing. There is no core. The startling, simple truth is that the onion was its layers. There was no essence hidden inside. It was the coming together of all those layers that constituted the onion. So it is with the self. We peel back the layer of the body, the layer of feelings, the layer of thoughts, the layer of memories, searching for the real me. And in the end, we find that the self was never anything more than the temporary, shifting, miraculous coming together of all these processes. Realizing this is not a cause for despair. It is the ultimate relief. There is no fragile core that needs to be defended from the world. There is only this open, flowing, mysterious process of life, unfolding moment by moment. This profound understanding that everything is impermanent and that there is no fixed self to be harmed by this constant changes, the deep intellectual foundation for peace. But wisdom cannot remain just an idea in the head. It must be lived. It must be felt. It must be embodied in our every moment. This leads us directly to the essential practice of embracing reality exactly as it is, without argument or resistance. Let us now explore the quiet, radical power of acceptance. We have journeyed through the profound truths of impermanence and no self. We have seen that reality is a constant, flowing river of change, and that within this river, there is no solid, separate I to be found, no permanent entity to be harmed. This understanding is the deep, intellectual foundation for peace. But for this wisdom to truly transform our sleepless nights into moments of sanctuary, it must move from the head to the heart. It must become an embodied practice. What is the only sane, wise, and peaceful response to a reality that is constantly changing and a self that is not a fixed thing? The answer is the quiet, courageous, and deeply misunderstood practice of acceptance. When we hear the word acceptance, our culture often equates it with passive resignation, with giving up, with weakness. But in the context of this inner work, acceptance is the furthest thing from weakness. It is an act of immense strength. It is the moment we finally, after a lifetime of struggle, lay down our heavy weapons and call a truce in the long and exhausting war we have been waging against reality. Let us be honest about this war. It rages within us almost every moment, but its battles are fiercest in the silence of the night. The reality is simple. It is 3 o'clock in the morning, and you are awake. The war begins with a single, powerful thought. This shouldn't be happening. This word, should, is a declaration of war against what is. The mind immediately deploys its armies. I should be asleep by now. Healthy people are asleep. I need to sleep, or I will be useless tomorrow. This is wrong. This is terrible. An entire cascade of resistance, fear, anger, and self-pity is launched against the simple, neutral fact of being awake. Think of the immense energy this consumes. Imagine you begin the night with 100 units of precious life energy. The physical discomfort or the initial cause of your sleeplessness might consume 10 units, but the internal battle against it, the frustration, the anxiety about being anxious, the anger at the pain, the resentment about your situation, this war consumes the other 90 units. We are not exhausted merely from a lack of sleep. We are utterly depleted by the violence of our own internal resistance to reality. This struggle is as futile as arguing with the rain, demanding that it stop. The argument does not make you any drier. It only adds a layer of bitter frustration to the experience of being wet. To fight with reality is to guarantee your own defeat and exhaustion. The first, most crucial step to peace is to recognize the utter futility of this war. This is why it is so important to distinguish acceptance from resignation. Resignation is a state of collapsed, hopeless defeat. It says, "This is awful, I can't stand it, and there is nothing I can do. I give up." It is heavy, powerless, and full of despair. Acceptance, on the other hand, is an active, clear-eyed, and empowered state. Acceptance looks at the situation squarely and says, "Okay, this is what is present right now. My eyes are open. My mind is active. There is a feeling of anxiety in my chest. There is an ache in my knee. This is the raw data of my current experience." From this place of clear seeing, without the fog of war, you can then ask the wisest question possible. Given that this is the reality of the moment, what is the kindest and most skillful way for me to respond? Acceptance is not a passive surrender. It is the essential precondition for wise action. It is important to remember that acceptance does not mean that you have to like what is happening. You do not have to like your pain. You do not have to enjoy being anxious. You simply have to stop arguing with the fact that these things are present in your experience right now. It is the difference between being stuck in quicksand and struggling violently, which only makes you sink faster, versus relaxing your body and lying flat, which allows you to float. The situation is the same, but the response determines whether you sink or float. So how do we practice this? How do we move from the idea of acceptance to the living experience of it? We can start with a single word. The word is yes. This is not the yes of excited agreement or celebration. It is the quiet, solemn yes of acknowledgement. It is the yes of a scientist observing a phenomenon without judgment. In the night, when a wave of anxiety arises, our habitual inner response is a frantic, tensed up, "No, no, go away. I don't want this." This no is the sound of resistance, the battle cry of the war. The practice is to consciously, gently replace the no with a yes. As the anxiety tightens your chest, you can whisper in your mind, "Yes, this is here now." This is the feeling of anxiety. When a painful memory surfaces, instead of fighting it, you can meet it with, "Yes, I remember this." This is a memory arising. When you notice your mind racing with 1,000 thoughts, you can simply acknowledge, "Yes, this is the state of my mind right now, a racing mind." This simple word is an act of profound peace. It immediately stops the war. It aligns you with the flow of reality, instead of placing you in direct opposition to it. You are no longer fighting the river. You are, for a moment, flowing with it. Try it now. Whatever sensation is most prominent in your body, whatever feeling is most present in your heart, just meet it with a soft, internal yes. Feel the subtle release of tension that comes from simply allowing reality to be what it is, just for this one moment. The mantra can also be the simple phrase, "It is what it is." This phrase is not one of cynical defeat. It is a statement of fact, a release from the burden of arguing with the undeniable. The pain is, the sleeplessness is, the loneliness is, It is what it is. Repeating this can have a surprisingly calming effect, as the mind finally gives up its impossible, exhausting struggle. The Buddha told a powerful story about this. He said that, in life, we are all inevitably shot by a first arrow. This arrow represents the unavoidable pains of human existence: sickness, old age, loss, death, and all the unpleasant things that happen to us beyond our control. This first arrow is a fact of life. There is no escaping it. But, the Buddha said, most of us, immediately after being hit by the first arrow, shoot ourselves with a second arrow. This second arrow is our resistance to the first. It is the arrow of, why me? This shouldn't be happening. It's unfair. It is the arrow of our anger, our self-pity, our resentment, our fear about the pain. The wound from the first arrow is painful enough, but the suffering, the true deep anguish, comes from the self-inflicted wound of the second arrow. Acceptance is the simple, wise act of refusing to shoot the second arrow. The sleeplessness, the pain of your body, that is the first arrow. It is real, but the war you wage against it, the frustration and despair that is the second arrow, and it is entirely optional. Acceptance is looking at the first arrow and saying, yes, this is here, and then beginning the wise and compassionate work of caring for the wound, rather than making it deeper with the poison of resistance. By accepting the reality of this present moment, by gently refusing to shoot ourselves with the second arrow of resistance, we find ourselves in a new and peaceful relationship with our own life. We are no longer at war. The energy we once spent on futile fighting is now available for healing, for rest, for peace. From this quiet, accepting space, we can now begin to explore the actual textures of the present moment, not as problems to be solved, but as phenomena to be known with gentle curiosity. Let us start by simply opening the gates of our senses. Let us begin to listen, truly listen, to the rich and subtle symphony of the night. Having laid down the weapons of our long war with reality, we find ourselves in a new landscape. It is a landscape of acceptance, a quiet space where we are no longer struggling against the current of what is. From this place of peace, we can begin to relate to our experience not as a series of problems to be solved, but as a world to be explored with a gentle and open curiosity. Let us begin this exploration with the most dominant feature of the night, the silence. For most of us, silence is not a welcome friend. It is an uncomfortable void. We spend our days in a constant bath of noise, the chatter of televisions, the music in our cars, the endless stream of podcasts and conversations. We have become so accustomed to auditory stimulation that its absence can feel frightening. In the deep of night, the silence acts like a great, dark stage, and with no other actors present, our own restless mind, our monkey mind, leaps into the spotlight, its chattering voice seeming to echo with deafening volume. We believe the silence is the problem, that its emptiness is what makes us feel so anxious and alone. But what if we have it backwards? What if silence is not an absence, but a presence? What if it is not a void, but a vessel full of subtle and profound treasures? If only we would learn how to listen. Our fear of silence is a fear of ourselves. It is the fear of being left alone with the unexamined contents of our own hearts and minds. The noise of the world provides a convenient and constant distraction from our own inner landscape. When that noise is stripped away, we are forced to face what is there. This can be jarring, but this nightly invitation into silence does not have to be a confrontation. It can be a homecoming. The practice is to shift from passively enduring the silence to actively intentionally listening to it. It is to transform your ears from simple receivers of information into instruments of profound meditation. Right now, as you lie here, I invite you to open your sense of hearing. Imagine your ears becoming two large, sensitive microphones, capable of picking up the most delicate vibrations in the air. Let us begin by listening in layers, starting with the most obvious sounds. First, simply notice the sounds within the room you are in. It may be the low, steady hum of an air conditioner or a fan. It might be the rhythmic ticking of a clock on the wall. Perhaps you can hear the faint electronic buzz of an appliance on standby. Our habit is to label these sounds as annoying or as noise that is preventing us from sleeping. For now, let go of these labels. Let go of the story about the sound and just receive the raw sensation of it. Hear it as pure vibration, as patterns of energy in the air. Notice its pitch, its rhythm, its texture. Do not fight it. Do not wish it were gone. Simply allow it to be a part of the soundscape of this present moment. Let these sounds be the bass notes of the night's symphony. Now, let us expand our field of hearing. Without straining, allow your attention to move through the walls of your room and listen for the sounds of the world outside. Listen past the humming of the fan. Can you hear something more distant? Perhaps the sound of the wind sighing through the trees. Perhaps the gentle patter of rain on the roof or against the window pane. You might hear the distant rumble of a truck on a highway, its sound fading in and then fading out. Perhaps a dog barks, far away, or the call of a night bird. As you listen to these distant sounds, feel your sense of self expand. You are not just an isolated being trapped in a single room. You are connected to this wider world. You are a part of this living, breathing night. These sounds are a reminder that even as you rest, the world continues its gentle, rhythmic life all around you. Now, let us bring our attention even closer, even more inward. Let us listen for the subtle, intimate sounds of your own body. Can you hear the sound of your own breath? It is a soft, gentle whisper, an ocean sound that is so close, so constant, we almost never notice it. Can you hear the sound of your own heart beating? It may be too faint to hear with your ears, but perhaps you can feel its rhythmic pulse in your chest or your neck. It is the faithful drumbeat of your own life, a rhythm that has been with you from before you were born. Listen for the sound of a swallow or the subtle internal shifts and murmurs of your body settling. This is the sound of your own aliveness. By listening so closely, you cultivate a deep and loving intimacy with your own physical being. You are not an abstract mind inhabiting a body. You are this living, breathing, pulsing organism, full of quiet and miraculous music. Finally, let us listen to the most subtle layer of all. Let us listen for the silence itself. In between all these other sounds, beneath them, holding them, is a vast, profound stillness. Can you hear it? Tune your ear to the space between the ticks of the clock, to the pause between your breaths. As you listen deeply into this stillness, you may begin to perceive a very faint, high-frequency hum or ringing. This is not a sign of a problem. In many contemplative traditions, this is known as the sound of silence. It is the sound of your own nervous system, the sound of consciousness itself. It is the ultimate background noise of the universe. When you can rest your attention on this subtle vibration, you realize the truth. Silence is not empty. It is pregnant with peace. It is the canvas upon which all other sounds are painted. Every sound is born from this silence, and every sound dissolves back into this silence. It is the source and the destination of all vibration. By resting your attention here, your mind becomes incredibly calm and anchored. It is no longer being tossed about on the waves of thought, because it is fully engaged in the rich, deep, profound act of listening. There is a story of a great Zen master who would sit with his students for days on end in the meditation hall, in complete silence. The students grew restless. They had come to learn, to receive profound teachings. One day, an impatient student could stand it no longer. He stood up and said, "Master, we have been here for days. When are you going to teach us something?" The master slowly opened his eyes, a gentle smile on his face. He looked at the student and said softly, "I have been teaching you all day, every day. You have just not been listening." The student was confused. "What teaching?" he asked. The master replied, "I have been teaching you the great, profound lesson of silence. You were just waiting for noise." This is the state so many of us are in. We are constantly waiting for the next thought, the next distraction, the next piece of data to fill the space. We have forgotten that the space itself is the teaching. The silence of the night is not an empty interval to be endured until the morning's noise begins. It is a great and compassionate teacher. It is offering you its deepest wisdom, the wisdom of stillness, the wisdom of peace. All you have to do is be quiet enough to listen. Having learned to listen to the world around us with this new depth and appreciation, let us now turn this gentle, attentive listening inward. But this time, let us listen not just for what is present, but for what we can be thankful for. Let us listen for the quiet whispers of grace that are always present, even in the darkest night. This is the beginning of the powerful, heart-opening practice of gratitude. Having learned to open our ears to the rich symphony of the night, transforming the silence from a void into a sanctuary, let us now learn to adjust the lens through which we view our entire experience. We have accepted what is, we have listened to what is, and now we will learn to appreciate what is. This is the profound and transformative practice of gratitude. In our modern world, we often think of gratitude as a mere politeness, a simple thank you for a gift or a favor. But in the context of inner work, gratitude is something far more powerful. It is a conscious, deliberate, and alchemical shift in perception. It is the decision to turn the spotlight of our attention away from what is wrong, what is missing, what is painful, and to shine it instead on what is right, what is present, and what is good, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. On a night filled with sleeplessness, anxiety, or physical pain, the very idea of gratitude can feel difficult, even absurd. The mind will protest. What is there to be grateful for when I feel this terrible? That is why we must approach this practice not with force, but with the gentle curiosity of a treasure hunter, searching for small hidden gems in the darkness. Gratitude is one of the most powerful antidotes to the poisons of the mind. It is a direct countermeasure to anxiety. Anxiety is a state of mind that is perpetually focused on the future, spinning catastrophic stories about what might go wrong. Gratitude, by its very nature, pulls the mind out of that fearful speculation and anchors it firmly in the reality of the present moment, focusing on what is already good and safe. It is also a potent medicine for sadness and grief. When we are experiencing loss, our minds tend to focus exclusively on what is gone. Gratitude does not deny the loss or erase the pain, but it gently balances the scales by reminding us of what still remains. It widens our perspective to include the love that still exists, the memories that can still bring warmth, the life that continues to flow. And it is a perfect remedy for the bitterness of envy, and resentment, which arise from focusing on what others have that we lack. Gratitude turns our gaze back to the unique and unrepeatable blessings of our own life, revealing a richness we had overlooked. In a mind darkened by worry and despair, a single thought of genuine gratitude is like striking a match. The darkness is still there, all around, but the small flame changes everything. It provides a point of light, a source of warmth, and a place to rest our eyes. The practice of gratitude is the practice of learning how to light this candle again and again. So let us begin this gentle treasure hunt. The first and most fundamental blessing is so close and so constant that we ignore it almost completely. It is your breath. As you lie here, can you feel the air entering your body and leaving your body? This quiet, rhythmic tide of air is the very essence of life. As long as you are breathing, there is more right with you than there is wrong with you. Can you, for just this one breath, feel a sense of gratitude for this gift? Gratitude for the lungs that draw it in, for the heart that it allows to beat, for the life it sustains without your ever having to ask. It is a miracle. Let us be thankful for it. Now, let us expand our awareness to the rest of the body. Even a body that is experiencing pain contains countless blessings. Are your ears able to hear these words? Let there be a moment of gratitude for the complex and wonderful faculty of hearing. Are your eyes, even while closed, able to perceive the difference between light and dark? Let there be gratitude for the gift of sight. Perhaps you have an ache in your shoulder, but your hands are resting comfortably. Can you feel gratitude for the simple ease in your hands? Perhaps your legs are restless, but your belly is soft and relaxed after breathing. Can you feel gratitude for that small patch of peace? Search your body not for what is wrong, but for what is right, and let your appreciation rest there. Now, expand your awareness to your immediate surroundings. Feel the bed that is supporting your body. It holds your weight completely. You do not have to make any effort. This is a gift. Let there be gratitude for the bed. Feel the warmth of the blankets or the coolness of the sheets against your skin. This is the gift of comfort. Let there be gratitude. Think of the roof over your head, protecting you from the wind and the rain. Think of the pillow that is cushioning your head. These are not small things. They are immense privileges, sources of safety and security. Let us feel a genuine sense of gratitude for this simple, safe shelter. Now, let your mind gently touch upon the people in your life. Bring to mind the face of one person who has shown you kindness. It could be a family member, a friend, a neighbor, even a kind stranger who smiled at you once. Hold their face in your mind and feel a sense of gratitude that this person has been a part of your life's journey. You do not need to do anything. Just allow the warm feeling of appreciation to fill your heart. Let us also be grateful for the difficult people, for they have been our greatest teachers, showing us the depths of our own patience and compassion. Let us be grateful for the memories of joy we have cultivated, the inner garden we can visit. Let us be grateful for our sorrows, for they have carved out the space in our hearts for wisdom to grow. A question will naturally arise. How can I be grateful when I am in such pain? How can I feel thankful when I am so lonely? This is a vital point. The practice of gratitude is not a denial of suffering. It is not about pretending that everything is wonderful when it is not. That would be a form of self-deception. True, deep gratitude is about holding two things at once. It is the ability to say, yes, there is pain in my body, and I am grateful for the warmth of my bed. It is the ability to acknowledge, yes, A wave of loneliness is here right now, and I am grateful for the memory of my friend's kindness. Life is never just one thing. It is always a mixture of the pleasant and the unpleasant, the sweet and the bitter. Despair is the state of seeing only the bitter. Naivete is the state of seeing only the sweet. Wisdom is the ability to hold both, to see the whole picture. When you are in great pain, the practice is not to try and force a feeling of giddy happiness. The practice is to simply, gently, search for one small thing, anything, to be grateful for. The darker the night, the more brilliant the light of a single star appears. The deeper your suffering, the more profound and healing the discovery of a single blessing can be. Make this a habit. When you wake in the night, before the mind has a chance to launch into its litany of worries, let your very first thought be a search for gratitude. Start with your breath. It is always there, waiting to be appreciated. There is a beautiful story of an old, wise beggar who sat by the side of a road every day with his empty wooden bowl. One day, a wealthy merchant, proud and arrogant, passed by and saw the beggar smiling peacefully. The merchant scoffed, "What could you possibly have to be thankful for? Your clothes are rags, and your bowl is empty." The old beggar looked up at the merchant, his smile unwavering. He gently tapped his empty bowl with his finger. "I am thankful for this bowl," he said, "because it still has room to receive." This is the ultimate wisdom of gratitude. In the middle of the night, we can feel empty. We can feel that our bowl is empty of sleep, empty of health, empty of peace, empty of companionship. We focus on the emptiness, but the wise beggar teaches us to be grateful for the bowl itself. Our heart, even when it aches, still has room to receive a moment of love. Our mind, even when it races, still has room to receive a single, peaceful thought. Our awareness, right now, has room to receive the simple gift of this one breath. Gratitude is not about having a full bowl. It is about appreciating the bowl itself. This practice of gratitude fills our own bowl from the inside out. It helps us to see our own inner richness and sufficiency. And when we begin to feel more full, more at peace with what we have, we are in a much better position to address the fears we have about our effect on the lives of others. Let us now turn our gentle attention to a common and tender fear of the later years of life, the fear of being a burden. Having filled our own hearts with the quiet, steady warmth of gratitude, we learn to rest in a sense of inner richness. We see that even in the darkest night, we are surrounded by simple, profound blessings. Yet, as one layer of anxiety is soothed, another, more subtle and tender layer can emerge. This anxiety is not for ourselves, but for others. It is born of love, and yet it is a source of immense, silent suffering. This is the fear of being a burden. In the quiet hours, when the house is still, the mind can begin to calculate. It weighs what we need against what we can give. It sees a body that requires more care, more patience, more help, and it whispers a painful story. I am becoming a burden on my children. I am causing them trouble. My needs are a drain on their busy lives. I am no longer a contributor, only a cost. This thought, which comes from a noble place of love and a desire not to cause hardship, can become a source of deep shame, guilt, and a feeling of dwindling worth. It can make us withdraw, hide our needs, and suffer in silence, believing this is a final act of love for our family. Tonight, we will bring this tender fear out of the shadows and examine it, not with criticism, but with the clear, compassionate light of wisdom. Let us first deconstruct this idea of being a burden. It is a word that comes from the world of economics, of commerce. A burden is a heavy, unwanted cargo, a cost that outweighs its value. When we apply this word to ourselves, within the sacred context of a family, we are making a terrible category error. A family is not a business. Its balance sheet is not measured in dollars or productivity. The currency of a family is love. Its economy is one of connection, of shared history, of care given and received in a cycle that spans generations. We have absorbed a harsh story from our culture, a story that worships at the altar of youth, relentless productivity, and fierce independence. This story tells us that to be dependent is to be weak, that to need help is to have failed. It devalues the wisdom of old age and sees the natural slowing of the body as a liability. We have internalized this cruel judgment and turned it upon ourselves. We look in the mirror and see not a lifetime of love and experience, but a potential liability. We must recognize this story for what it is: a cold, empty, and impoverished view of what it means to be a human being in the great, interconnected web of life. Now, let us introduce a new story, a new and much truer understanding of the flow of love and care. We are taught that it is better to give than to receive, and in this, there is truth. But we forget a simple, mechanical fact. For giving to be possible, there must be a receiver. The act of giving cannot exist in a vacuum. When you, in your vulnerability, allow your child or your loved one to care for you, you are not being a burden. You are, in fact, giving them a profound and precious gift. You are giving them the opportunity to exercise the noblest parts of themselves: their compassion, their patience, their tenderness, their love. You are giving them a sacred space in which to express their gratitude for all the years you cared for them. Think back to when they were helpless infants. You fed them, you clothed them, you held them when they cried. You did this not because they were a burden, but because it was the natural, joyful expression of your love. You were completing a sacred cycle. Now, life has turned, and the cycle continues. To refuse their care out of your own pride or your fear of being a burden is, in a very real way, to rob them of the opportunity to complete that cycle. It is to deny them the deep human satisfaction of returning the love and care they once received. When your child helps you put on your coat, or brings you a meal, or simply sits and listens to you, see it through a new lens. You are not a burden being serviced. You are a teacher, providing a real-world classroom for love to be put into action. You are a catalyst for their goodness. Receiving their care with grace, with gratitude, and with love is one of the most generous gifts you can offer them. Furthermore, we must challenge the flawed idea that our value is tied to what we can do. As the body's abilities change, we may not be able to work, or cook, or manage the household as we once did. And so, we feel useless. But your worth is not in your doing, it is in your being. You are the living vessel of your family's history. You are a library of stories, of experiences, of laughter, of sorrows survived, of lessons learned. Your very presence is a taproot that connects the younger generations to their own past, to their own identity. In a world that is moving so fast, a world so often disconnected from history, your being is an anchor of immense, though often intangible, value. You are not a has-been. You are the living embodiment of what has been, and that is a treasure. Your life has been a long and complex journey, and you have accumulated a unique wisdom that cannot be learned in books. Simply by being who you are, by sharing your presence, You offer a perspective and a depth that enriches everyone around you. You must learn to honor this intrinsic worth, a worth that has absolutely nothing to do with your physical strength or your ability to perform tasks. Even with this understanding, the fear may still arise. It is a deeply conditioned thought pattern. In these moments, we can practice a specific meditation of self-compassion. When you feel the familiar pang of, "I am a burden," do not fight it. Do not berate yourself for having the thought. Instead, place a hand gently over your own heart. Feel the warmth of your hand on your chest. Take a slow breath, and in the quiet of your mind, acknowledge the fear. You can say to it, "I see you, fear of being a burden. I know you are here." Then, validate its source. "I know you come from love. I know you are here because I love my family and do not want to cause them pain." After acknowledging and validating it, offer it compassion. "But you are causing me great suffering right now. You are making my heart heavy. I will hold you with kindness. It is safe to be cared for. It is safe to receive love. I am worthy of love and care, just as I am." This practice transforms the fear from a harsh inner critic into a sad, misguided child. And you, the wise, compassionate adult, can comfort it, soothe it, and rob it of its power to cause you pain. There is a beautiful way to see this entire cycle, and that is to imagine the family as a great tree, growing through the seasons. When the tree is young and growing, its strong, vibrant branches and its canopy of lush leaves represent the parents. They shelter the young, tender root system, the children from the harsh sun and the battering storms. The energy flows from the branches down, protecting and nourishing. This is the period of active doing, of giving care. As the tree ages over many decades, some of its branches may become gnarled and twisted. It may not produce as many new leaves or blossoms. But all the while, the root system has been growing stronger, deeper, and more extensive. The children are now grown. And now, the flow of energy changes. It is this deep and powerful root system that draws nourishment from the earth and sends it up, supporting the entire tree, holding it firm and steady against the wind. The old trunk and branches may not be as productive as they once were, but their very presence is what gives the tree its character, its history, its stability. They are the heart of the tree. The younger roots and the older branches are not in a relationship of burden, but in a beautiful, natural, and necessary cycle of mutual support. This is the true nature of a family. Accepting this natural cycle of giving and receiving care helps us to make peace with our changing role in the family tree. This peace is essential as we turn our focus to the direct physical realities that often fuel this fear in the first place. The undeniable experiences of sickness and the body's increasing frailty. Having explored the tender fear of being a burden and reframed our role within the beautiful, natural cycle of family life, we now turn our attention to the direct, physical reality that so often fuels this fear. We turn to face the undeniable experiences of sickness, pain, and the increasing frailty of the body. This is a difficult and often avoided topic. Our culture teaches us to hide from it, to fight it with a desperate fierceness, and to see it as a personal failure. In the silence of a sleepless night, the body's aches and limitations can seem to shout, reminding us of what we have lost and stoking our fears of what is yet to come. There is a natural grief in this, a sadness for the strength and agility that have faded. There is frustration in not being able to do the things we once did with ease. And there is fear of future pain and dependency. Tonight, we will not turn away from this reality. Instead, we will approach it with the steady, compassionate gaze we have been cultivating, learning to live peacefully with this aging body not as an enemy to be conquered, but as a companion to be understood and cared for. The first and most crucial step is to change our fundamental relationship with the body. We must gently but firmly question the belief that this body is me. Drawing on the wisdom we have already explored, we can see that the body is a process, not a static thing. It is our vehicle for this lifetime, the precious and intricate vessel that has carried our consciousness through every experience we have ever had. And like any physical vehicle, it is subject to the universal laws of nature. It is born, it grows, it functions, it begins to wear down, and eventually, it ceases to function. The Buddha's great journey toward enlightenment began when he first truly witnessed this reality. He saw an old person, a sick person, and a corpse. These sights pierced his heart because he realized that this was not the fate of a few unlucky people, but the inescapable destiny of all conditioned beings, including himself. Sickness and aging are not a punishment. They are not a sign that you have done something wrong. They are a universal truth. When your car gets old and a part wears out, you do not feel that the car has personally betrayed you. You understand that this is the nature of mechanical things. In the same way, when the body ails, it is not betraying you. It is simply following its own organic, biological nature. This shift in perspective from "why is this happening to me?" to "this is what is happening" depersonalizes the experience. It takes the sting of personal injustice out of the pain and allows us to see our situation with a clearer, calmer mind. With this new perspective, our emotional response can begin to change. The common reaction to the body's failings is resentment. We get angry at our knees for being stiff, at our back for aching, at our hands for being weak. We feel let down by this body that was once so strong and reliable. This anger creates a state of war within ourselves, adding a thick layer of mental tension on top of the physical discomfort. But there is another path, a path of profound healing. This is the path of gratitude. Instead of focusing on what your body can no longer do, I invite you to spend a few moments reflecting, with genuine appreciation, on everything it has done. Think of the millions upon millions of steps these legs have walked for you. Think of the thousands of meals these hands have prepared and eaten. Think of the countless beautiful, ordinary, and wonderful sights these eyes have brought you. For decades, this body has served you with incredible fidelity. It has worked, and played, and loved, and carried you through every joy and sorrow. It has been your most constant companion. Now, in its later years, as it grows tired and requires more care, does it deserve your anger, or does it deserve your deepest gratitude and kindness? This feeling of gratitude naturally leads to a new way of acting. We can learn to care for the body as we would a dear, old, cherished friend, not with harsh demands or frustration, but with tenderness, respect, and gentle attention. This means listening to its signals. When it asks for rest, we give it rest, without guilt. When it asks for movement, we offer it gentle movement, like stretching or a slow walk, celebrating what it can do, rather than mourning what it cannot. We can care for it by offering it simple, nourishing food, seeing it as a way to provide comfort and sustenance to our old friend. This is an active practice of loving kindness, directed at our own physical form. It changes the entire dynamic from one of conflict to one of compassionate companionship. You and your body are on this final part of the journey together. You can make that journey one of bitter struggle or one of peaceful, mutual care. This compassionate approach is the foundation for the most practical and liberating teaching on pain. The Buddha taught that we must learn to distinguish between pain and suffering. They are not the same thing. Pain is the raw, physical sensation that arises in the body. It is a biological signal. The nervous system is sending information to the brain. Suffering, on the other hand, is our mental and emotional reaction to that pain. It is the story we tell ourselves about the pain. This is the teaching of the two arrows. The first arrow is the pain itself, the ache, the throb, the stiffness. For all of us, especially as we age, this first arrow is unavoidable. It is part of life. But we, in our lack of wisdom, almost always shoot ourselves with a second arrow. The second arrow is our mental resistance. It is the thought, "This is awful. I can't stand this." It is the fear, "This is never going to end. It's only going to get worse." It is the self-pity, "Why me? My life is ruined because of this." It is all the anger, despair, and terror that we layer on top of the original sensation. The first arrow is painful, but it is the second arrow that creates true, deep suffering. And the second arrow is entirely optional. We do not have to shoot ourselves with it. The practice is to learn to experience the first arrow without firing the second. When a pain sensation arises, instead of your habitual reaction of tensing up and launching into a negative story, see if you can meet the raw sensation with a calm, curious, and neutral awareness. Become a scientist of your own pain. Where is it located exactly? What are its precise boundaries? Does it have a temperature? Is it hot, or cool, or neutral? Does it have a texture? Is it sharp, or dull, or tingling, or vibrating? Does it remain constant, or does it change, pulsing and shifting from moment to moment? As you engage in this neutral, detached observation, you are doing something remarkable. You are staying with the raw data of the first arrow without adding the story, the judgment, the fear of the second arrow. You may find that the raw sensation, when stripped of all the mental drama, is actually bearable. It is just a strong energy, a strong sensation. It is the story about the pain that was creating the unbearable suffering. This is a skill that requires practice, but it is one of the most precious skills you can ever learn. It allows you to have pain without being a victim of suffering. The Buddha himself was the ultimate example of this. In his final years, his body was old and failing. He spoke of it as being like a rickety old cart, held together with straps and bits of leather. The scriptures say he experienced significant and constant physical pain, and yet all who met him in these years described his mind as being completely serene, radiant with peace, and full of boundless compassion. He continued to walk and to teach, to comfort, and to guide others. He was the living demonstration that the peace of the mind is not dependent on the health of the body. He experienced the first arrow of physical decay every single day, but he never, ever shot himself with the second arrow of mental suffering. His mind was a sanctuary of peace, even while his body was a vessel of pain. We too can learn to cultivate this inner sanctuary. Our body may be a creaky old cart, but our mind can be a place of freedom, clarity, and light. This courageous practice of facing sickness and the body's frailty with peace and wisdom is the final preparation. It steadies our heart and mind, allowing us to look directly, without turning away in fear, at the ultimate horizon of this aging process. Let us now, with the same gentle courage that we have brought to all our explorations, turn our attention to contemplate the nature of mortality itself. We have walked together through the tender landscapes of the aging body, learning to meet sickness and frailty, not with resistance, but with a wise and compassionate friendship. We have learned to separate the reality of physical pain from the optional suffering of our mental reaction to it. This courageous practice prepares us for the final frontier of our inner exploration. It gives us the stability and the peace of heart to turn our gaze toward the great horizon, to the one reality that our culture conspires to deny, the one fear that sits beneath almost all other fears. With the same gentle courage, let us now contemplate the nature of mortality itself. Let us learn to make peace with death. This is the ultimate taboo, the topic spoken only in hushed whispers, the event we treat as a failure or a terrible accident. Our entire society is a frantic, elaborate attempt to distract ourselves from this one, simple, inescapable truth. In the dead of night, when the distractions fall away, this existential dread can surface with a terrifying intensity. It is the fear of annihilation, the fear of leaving our loved ones, the fear of the great, unknown darkness. The purpose of this contemplation is not to be morbid or to hasten our end, but to do something profoundly life-affirming. It is to discover that on the other side of this great fear lies the greatest peace. The fear of death is the ultimate expression of the ego, the I we have spent a lifetime building, defending, and identifying with. This I believes it is solid and permanent, and the idea of its own dissolution is the ultimate threat. We have already seen that this solid self is an illusion, a temporary collection of changing processes. But the habit of believing in it is strong. The fear of death is the ego's final, desperate protest against the universal law of impermanence. This fear, often unconscious, drives so much of our behavior. It can fuel a desperate clinging to youth, a frantic accumulation of wealth and possessions, as if building a fortress could keep out the inevitable. In our later years, this fear moves from the abstract to the deeply personal. The passing of friends and partners, the changes in our own reflection, the body's daily reminders of its own fragility. These are all messengers from the horizon, reminding us that our own journey has a destination. In the quiet of a sleepless night, these messengers can speak very loudly, and the confrontation with our own mortality can feel overwhelming. The first step in this practice is simply to allow the fear to be here, to acknowledge its presence without panic, to see it as a natural, primal part of the human experience, and to shine our gentle, compassionate awareness upon it. In the Buddhist tradition, the practice of contemplating death, known as Maranasati, is considered one of the most powerful and important meditations. It is not done to create despair, but to create a sense of profound and joyful urgency about living. It is the ultimate tool for clarifying our priorities. Imagine you were told that you had only 1 year left to live. How would your priorities change? The petty grievances you hold against others, the small worries about your reputation, the desire for more possessions, would these things still seem so important? They would likely fall away like dust. And what would rise to the surface? What would become truly important? Love, connection, forgiveness, the beauty of a sunset, the taste of a good meal, the warmth of a friend's hand, the things that are simple, real, and connect us to life itself. The contemplation of death is, paradoxically, the supreme practice for appreciating life. It is what wakes us up from the trance of taking our days for granted. Let us engage in a gentle version of this contemplation now. As you lie here, gently bring to mind the undeniable truth. My time in this body is not infinite. This life will come to an end. Feel the reality of that statement, and then ask yourself, with a kind and open heart, knowing this, what is truly important to me, right now, today? Is there a forgiveness that needs to be granted to another or to yourself? so that you are not carrying the heavy burden of resentment? Is there a word of love or appreciation that you have been meaning to say to someone, but have been putting off? The awareness of death urges us not to postpone love. Is there a simple beauty in your life, a piece of music, a memory, the view from your window that you can take a moment to fully and completely appreciate? Contemplating death does not mean dwelling on the future moment of dying. It means using that future certainty to bring a laser-like focus and a heart full of gratitude to the present moment of living. We can also begin to transform our narrative about what death is. Our culture portrays it as a violent, abrupt end, a failure of medicine, a wall we crash into. But we can choose softer, wiser metaphors. What if death is not a wall, but a doorway, a transition from one state of being to another that we cannot yet comprehend? What if it is not the light bulb burning out, but the lamp being turned off, while the electricity of consciousness returns to its source? A beautiful metaphor is that of changing clothes. Our body is like a set of clothes we have worn for a very, very long time. It has become worn, frayed, and no longer fits as well as it used to. Death is the simple, natural act of taking off this old, tight set of clothes at the end of a long day, to experience the relief and freedom of what lies beyond that constriction. This way of thinking leads to a practice of living with a sense of gentle completeness. If we knew this day were our last, we would want our affairs of the heart to be in order. We would mend broken fences. We would speak our truth with kindness. We would not leave important things unsaid. To live this way every day is to live without creating new regrets. It is to live in a state of constant, peaceful readiness, not for death, but for life itself. We can find great peace in seeing our own life as a single, complete day. Our birth was the dawn, cool and fresh, with silence and limitless potential. Our childhood and youth were the bright, vibrant morning, full of energy, learning, and growth. Our adulthood was the long, strong afternoon, the time of work, of family, of responsibility, of bearing the heat of the day. And our later years, these years, are the beautiful, golden evening. The frantic work of the afternoon is done. The light is softer now, the shadows longer. It is a time for reflection, for savoring, for watching the colors of the sky change with a quiet, appreciative wisdom. And what comes after the evening? The night. The night is not a tragedy. It is the natural, peaceful, and necessary conclusion to the day. It is a time of deep rest, of letting go, of returning to the great, silent mystery from which the next dawn will eventually arise. Seeing our own mortality in this way, as the gentle coming of night after a long and full day, removes the terror and replaces it with a sense of rightness, of peace, of completion. When we can look at the whole arc of our life, including the inevitable coming of the night, with this kind of peaceful acceptance, we come to a profound realization of how little we actually control. We did not control our birth, and we will not control our death. This understanding leads us to the great and final wisdom of letting go, not just of our fear of death, but of our desperate, lifelong need to manage and control every aspect of our existence. Having contemplated the great arc of our own existence, from the dawn of birth to the inevitable twilight of death, we arrive at a place of profound humility. We see with undeniable clarity that we are not, and have never been, in ultimate control. We did not control our coming into this world, and we will not control our leaving it. This realization, which might at first seem frightening, is actually the key to a vast and unshakable peace. For a lifetime, we have been operating under a grand illusion, the illusion that if we can just think hard enough, plan meticulously enough, and struggle fiercely enough, we can manage the universe to our liking. We believe our happiness and safety depend on our ability to control our health, our finances, our relationships, and our future. This relentless, exhausting effort to control the uncontrollable is the hidden source of nearly all our anxiety. Tonight, we will learn the gentle, liberating art of releasing this illusion. We will learn to open our tightly clenched fist and let go. Let us look honestly at the vast domains that lie completely outside of our control. We try to control other people. We want our children to make certain choices, our partners to behave in a particular way, our friends to think as we do. We offer advice. We manipulate. We worry. We grow frustrated and resentful when they inevitably follow their own path. But every single person is a sovereign universe of their own, with their own complex web of thoughts, feelings, desires, and history. We can love them. We can influence them, but we can never, ever control them. We also try to control the world around us. We worry about politics, the economy, the state of the environment. We get angry at the weather for spoiling our plans. We are like a tiny cork bobbing on a vast ocean, believing we can command the tides. This struggle is futile, and we try, most desperately, to control our own bodies. We fight the natural process of aging with every fiber of our being. We resent a diagnosis. We get angry at a painful knee, as if these were personal betrayals rather than the impersonal workings of natural law. We have already seen the wisdom of making peace with this process. Finally, we even try to control our own minds. We command ourselves to stop worrying. We demand that we be happy. We try to force ourselves to sleep. But as we know from our encounter with the monkey mind, even our own thoughts and feelings have a life of their own. They arise and pass away according to their own conditions, resisting our direct command. When we look at it this way, we see that almost everything we spend our energy trying to manage lies far outside our jurisdiction. What then is the state of anxiety that plagues us in the night? Anxiety is the direct, physical, and emotional experience of trying to control a future that does not exist. As you lie awake, your mind launches into a series of control simulations. It imagines a future event, a doctor's visit, a family gathering, a financial difficulty. It then tries to play out every possible variation of that event, identifying every potential problem and attempting to solve it in advance. If she says this, then I will say that. But what if this happens? Then I must do that. Your mind is acting like a frantic general, trying to prepare for 1,000 imaginary battles. This is an utterly impossible and draining task. The future will unfold in its own mysterious way, shaped by countless factors we can never predict. Our nightly worrying has absolutely no effect on that future outcome. The only thing it does affect is our present state. The anxiety you feel is the friction, the heat, the smoke generated by the mind's impossible, grinding effort to nail down a future that is as fluid as water. It is the suffering born from a deep misunderstanding of where our true power lies. After seeing all the things we cannot control, it is easy to feel powerless. But this is where the teaching turns, leading us to a place of profound and genuine empowerment. While the circle of what we cannot control is vast as the ocean, there is a small, sacred circle that is entirely within our domain. Inside this circle is the one and only thing we ever have control over, our own response to this present moment. The world can present us with anything. It can give us a painful body, a sorrowful loss, a difficult person, a sleepless night. The world controls the input, but we, and only we, have the power to choose the output. We have the power to choose our attitude. We can meet the pain with resistance, or with acceptance. We can meet the difficult person with anger or with compassion. We can meet our racing thoughts with frustration or with gentle, non-judgmental awareness. We can meet the sleepless night with despair or with the intention to use it as a time for peaceful contemplation. This is our true power. It is not the power to change the world, but the power to change our relationship to the world, to cease our frantic efforts to manage the vast, uncontrollable circle outside of us, and to turn our full attention to cultivating the peace, wisdom, and kindness within our own small, sacred circle. This is the entire path. This is the art of a wise and peaceful life. This leads us to the practice of letting go. There is a simple, beautiful analogy for this. If you want to drink water from a stream, and you clench your fist as tightly as you can and plunge it into the water, what happens? The water runs out between your desperate, tense fingers. You are left with an aching hand and nothing to drink. But if you relax your hand, cup your palm gently, and lower it into the stream, you can easily hold the cool, life-giving water. Your worries, your anxieties, your desperate need to control everything, this is the clenched fist. The tighter you squeeze, the more peace escapes you. Letting go is the act of gently, intentionally opening your hand. I invite you to try this as a visualization right now. Imagine that all of your worries are heavy stones. The worries about your health, your family, your finances, the future. Imagine you are holding them all, clutched tightly in your fists. Feel the weight of them. Feel the tension in your hands, your arms, your shoulders, from holding on so tightly. Now, very slowly, consciously, begin to unfurl your fingers, one by one. Feel the release of tension in your knuckles, in your palms. As your hands open, let the heavy stones of worry gently roll out and fall away, making no sound as they disappear. Rest for a moment with the feeling of your empty, open, relaxed hands. This is the feeling of letting go. This is the physical sensation of peace. True power is not found in gripping reality ever more tightly, but in cultivating the courage and wisdom to open our hands and allow life to be as it is. It is the great relief of giving up the impossible job of being the general manager of the universe. It is the peace of shifting from a frantic controller to a graceful participant in the mysterious, beautiful, and uncontrollable dance of life. This act of letting go, of opening the hand, creates a beautiful, quiet, and peaceful space within our hearts. But we do not have to leave this space empty. Having released our grip on control, we can now choose to consciously fill this space with one of the most powerful, healing, and positive forces in the universe. Let us now learn how to actively cultivate the radiant warmth of loving kindness. Having learned the profound relief of opening our hands, of releasing our desperate grip on controlling the universe, we find ourselves in a new inner landscape. It is a space of quiet, of openness, of peace. But this space does not need to remain empty. Having emptied our hands of the cold, heavy stones of worry and fear, we can now choose to fill them, and our hearts, with warmth. This is the practice of metta, an ancient Pali word that translates as loving kindness. This is not the sentimental, romantic, or possessive love we often see in films, nor is it an affection that is conditional, given only to those who please us. Metta is a boundless, unconditional well-wishing for the happiness, safety, and well-being of all living things, starting with ourselves. It is a form of inner sunshine, a radiant warmth that we can learn to generate from within the depths of our own heart. On a cold and lonely night, when we feel disconnected from the world, this practice is a direct path back to connection. It is the radical act of choosing to fill our own inner world with love, rather than waiting for it to arrive from the outside. Metta is the supreme antidote to the most persistent poisons of the heart. It is the direct remedy for loneliness. Loneliness is the painful feeling of being a separate, isolated self, cut off from love and connection. Metta, even when practiced completely alone in the dark of your room, is a direct experience of a loving and connected heart. It fills the inner void with warmth, dissolving the feeling of isolation from the inside out. When your own heart is a source of boundless friendliness, you are never truly alone. It is also the ultimate antidote to resentment and anger. As we have seen, holding on to anger is like holding a hot coal. Metta is the cool, soothing water that extinguishes the fire. It is impossible to simultaneously hold a genuine wish for someone's happiness and a bitter feeling of resentment toward them. One state must give way to the other. Metta softens the hard, judgmental edges of the mind and melts the ice of old grievances. And finally, it is the perfect antidote to fear. Fear, at its core, is a state of contraction. The heart closes, the body tenses. We brace ourselves against a perceived threat. Metta is the opposite. It is a state of expansion, of opening, of radiating outwards. It cultivates a fundamental sense of safety and friendliness toward ourselves and the world. It is a declaration that our basic nature and the basic nature of the world is one of kindness. When we rest in this feeling, fear cannot easily take root. The practice of loving-kindness meditation is a journey that begins in a surprising and, for many, a very difficult place. It begins with ourselves. We are often taught that it is selfish to love ourselves first, that we should always put others before us. We have learned to be our own harshest critics, believing we are unworthy of love until we are perfect. But you cannot pour water from an empty cup. You cannot share a warmth that you do not possess yourself. Learning to offer loving kindness to ourselves is the essential, non-negotiable first step. So I invite you now, as you lie here, to place a hand gently on your own heart. Feel the warmth of your hand on your chest as a gesture of simple friendship to yourself. Take a slow, soft breath, and then, in the quiet of your mind, I invite you to offer yourself these traditional phrases of loving kindness. Do not worry about forcing a particular feeling. The power is in the sincerity of the intention, the gentle repetition of the wish. Silently, offer these words to yourself. May I be safe. May I be free from inner and outer harm. Feel what it is like to genuinely wish for your own safety and protection. May I be healthy and strong as it is possible for me to be. Feel what it is like to wish for your own body's well-being. May I be happy. May I be truly content and at peace. Feel what it is like to wish for your own deep and lasting happiness. And finally, may I live with ease. May I be free from struggle, stress, and difficulty. Just repeat these phrases gently, like a lullaby for your own heart. If feelings of unworthiness arise, just notice them and return to the gentle intention of the phrases. You are planting the seeds of self-compassion. Once you have established this gentle, warm wishing for your own well-being, we can begin to expand the circle of love outwards. Let your hand rest where it is, and now bring to mind the image of a person whom you love easily and unconditionally. This could be a beloved child, a grandchild, a dear friend, a partner, or even a beloved pet. Picture them clearly in your mind's eye. See them smiling and happy. Now, direct the warmth of your heart and the power of these phrases toward them. May you be safe. May you be free from inner and outer harm. May you be healthy and strong. May you be happy and truly content. May you live your life with ease. Feel how easily your heart opens for this person. Let the feeling of love flow from you to them. Rest in that feeling for a few moments. Next, we will stretch the muscle of our heart a little further. Bring to mind a neutral person. This is someone you see in your daily life, but for whom you feel neither strong liking nor disliking. It might be the person who delivers your mail, a cashier at the grocery store, a neighbor you see but do not know well. Picture this person in your mind. They, too, just like you, wish to be happy and free from suffering. Now, offer them the same phrases of loving kindness. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you live with ease. This part of the practice is powerful because it breaks down the walls of indifference. It helps us to see the shared humanity in everyone, not just those in our inner circle. Now comes the most challenging and perhaps most transformative part of the practice. I invite you, if it feels possible, to bring to mind a difficult person, someone with whom you have conflict, friction, or who has hurt you in the past. It is often wise not to start with the person who has caused you the most pain, but someone with whom the difficulty is milder. See this person in your mind. Recognize that they too are a suffering human being, acting from their own confusion, their own fear, their own pain, and see if it is possible, not for their sake, but for the sake of your own freedom, to offer them a measure of loving kindness. Just as I wish to be happy, you too wish to be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be free from your own suffering. This is not about condoning their actions. It is about freeing your own heart from the prison of hatred. If this feels too difficult, you can simply say, I release you to your own path. I release you from my anger. Finally, we let the circle become boundless. Let go of any specific person and let the feeling of loving kindness radiate out from your heart in all directions. Imagine it as a warm, golden light flowing out from your chest, forward and backward, left and right, up and down. Let it fill the room you are in, then your entire home, your neighborhood, your city. Let it extend across the country and across the entire world, touching every single living being without exception. May all beings everywhere be safe. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be happy. May all beings live with ease. Feel your own heart dissolving into this boundless, universal love. There is no us and them. There is only this shared wish for peace and well-being. The practice of metta is the practice of becoming like the sun. The sun rises in the morning and it shines its light and its warmth on everything and everyone, without discrimination. It shines on the beautiful rose garden, just as it shines on the muddy patch of weeds. It shines on the kindest person and on the most troubled person. It does not hold back its light, deciding who is worthy and who is not. It simply gives of its nature, freely, generously, and boundlessly. When we practice loving kindness, we are learning to become a sun in our own small universe. We learn to radiate the warmth of our own heart outwards, without condition, without preference, and without expecting anything in return. Gradually, this becomes our new nature. This boundless, radiant warmth that we cultivate in the heart naturally seeks expression. It doesn't remain an abstract feeling. It softens our entire being, right down to the smallest muscles in our body. Let us now explore a very simple, physical way to embody and encourage this inner sunshine. The gentle, serene smile of the Buddha. We have filled our open hands and our open hearts with the radiant warmth of loving kindness, sending wishes for peace, and happiness, first to ourselves, and then expanding that circle of care to encompass all living beings. This inner state of metta is not just an abstract feeling, it is a powerful energy that seeks to express itself. It softens our thoughts, our emotions, and even our physical body. Let us now explore a simple, profound, and deeply physical way to embody this inner warmth and invite an even deeper state of peace. We will do this by exploring the gentle, serene smile of the Buddha. All across the world, in countless cultures and contexts, we see statues and images of the Buddha. They may be sitting, standing, or lying down, but they almost all share one unmistakable characteristic: a subtle, enigmatic, and deeply peaceful smile. This is not the wide, toothy grin of giddy happiness. It is not a social smile meant to please others. It is the slight, gentle, upward curve of the lips that speaks of a profound and unshakable inner contentment. This smile is not a denial of suffering, but a symbol of having transcended it. And the great secret is that we do not have to wait until we are perfectly enlightened to experience the peace of this smile. We can use the smile itself as a key to unlock the door to that same inner sanctuary. There is a deep and well-understood connection between our body and our mind. It is a two-way street. When our mind is filled with anxiety or anger, our body reflects it. The shoulders tense, the stomach clenches, and the face, in particular, becomes a mask of our inner turmoil. We furrow our brow, we squint our eyes, we clench our jaw. These dozens of small muscles in the face contract, and this physical contraction sends a constant, powerful feedback signal to our brain. The message is, there is a threat. Stay on high alert. Do not relax. This creates a vicious cycle where the worried mind creates a tense face, and the tense face tells the mind that it is right to be worried. We can remain trapped in this stressful feedback loop for hours, especially during a sleepless night, without even being aware of it. But just as the mind can influence the body can influence the mind. This is where the power of the Buddha's smile comes in. By consciously, intentionally changing the physical posture of our face, we can interrupt the feedback loop of stress and send a new, powerful message to our brain. By relaxing the muscles of the face and allowing a gentle smile to form, we are sending a signal of safety, of peace, of well-being. We are telling our nervous system, all is well. You can stand down. It is safe to rest. This is not a trick. It is a gentle and skillful use of our own biology to cultivate the inner state we desire. Let us practice this now. As you lie here in the darkness, I invite you to bring your full and gentle attention to your face. Just for a moment, be a neutral observer. Notice if there is any tension being held there. Is your forehead furrowed? Is there a knot of concentration between your eyebrows? Are the tiny muscles around your eyes tight? Is your jaw clenched? Are your lips pressed together? Do not judge what you find. Simply notice. Now, with your next out-breath, I invite you to let that tension go. Imagine your forehead becoming as smooth and wide and open as a calm lake. Allow the space between your eyebrows to soften. Let your eyes rest gently in their sockets, as if they were precious pearls resting on velvet cushions. Most importantly, allow your jaw to release its grip. Let your teeth separate just a little. Let your tongue rest softly and naturally in your mouth. Feel the immediate wave of relief that comes from just this simple act of letting go of facial tension. Now, we will add the final, subtle ingredient. Allow the corners of your mouth to lift, ever so slightly. This is the most important part. It is not a broad smile. It is not a grin. It is the faintest hint of a smile, so subtle that another person in the room might not even notice it. Think of the smile of the Mona Lisa, its mysterious and serene quality. Think of the smile on the face of a sleeping baby, a smile of pure, unconscious contentment. This is the smile we are cultivating, and you do not need a reason for it. This is the crucial point. You are not smiling because you are ecstatically happy, or because something amusing has happened. You are smiling as a direct act of self-compassion. It is a smile of friendship offered to yourself. It is a smile that says yes to whatever is present in your experience, whether that is peace, pain, loneliness, or contentment. It is a smile of radical acceptance for your own being, exactly as you are in this moment. It is a brave and gentle offering of peace to your own nervous system. As you hold this gentle half smile, begin to feel its effects spreading through your body. Feel how the slight upward curve of your lips sends a wave of relaxation upward. It softens the cheeks. It relaxes the eyes even further. It smooths the forehead. The smile on the lips creates a smile in the eyes. Now, imagine this smile spreading downwards. Imagine a smile in your throat, releasing any lump of unspoken words or sorrow. Imagine a smile in your heart, melting away the armor of fear and grief, allowing the warmth of loving kindness to radiate more freely. Imagine a smile in your stomach and your solar plexus, untying any knots of anxiety that are held there. Let the smile spread down through your arms and into your hands, letting them rest in a state of open, relaxed peace. Let it flow down through your legs and into your feet. Imagine that every single cell in your body is holding this same gentle, serene smile. Your entire being becomes an embodiment of peaceful acceptance. When the monkey mind arises with a worrisome thought, you meet it with this smile. When a physical pain makes itself known, you meet it with this smile. The smile does not deny the pain or the worry, but it holds it in a much larger container of peace. It changes your relationship to your own experience from one of struggle to one of gentle, smiling allowance. When we look upon the ancient statues of the Buddha, we can now understand the deep wisdom behind their serene expression. The Buddha's smile is not there because he was oblivious to suffering. On the contrary, he looked directly into the heart of human suffering. He saw sickness, old age, and death, and he knew the pain of loss and disappointment. His smile exists in spite of all that. It is the smile of one who has seen reality in all its terror and all its beauty, and has found a place of profound, unshakable peace that is not dependent on external conditions. It is the smile of having understood impermanence, of having seen through the illusion of the separate self, of having embraced reality with total acceptance, and of having a heart overflowing with boundless, unconditional compassion. When we, in our own small way, adopt this half smile in the middle of a difficult night, we are not pretending to be enlightened. We are borrowing a key. We are using a simple, physical tool to unlock the same door that leads to that same inner sanctuary of peace. We are reminding ourselves, in a direct, embodied way, that this peace is not a distant, impossible dream. It is a possibility that exists for us, right here, right now, in this very breath, with this very smile. This serene smile, this physical embodiment of peace, prepares our entire system for the final and most subtle contemplation of our long journey together. Having quieted the mind, opened the heart, and softened the body, we are now ready to rest in the ultimate nature of reality itself. Let us now, with this gentle smile on our lips, explore the profound, spacious, and deeply restful wisdom of emptiness. As the night deepens and our journey nears its temporary close, we arrive at a concept that is both profound and profoundly simple. It is a key that unlocks the final door to a state of rest so deep it transcends the mere absence of thought. We come to the idea of emptiness, or in the ancient tongue, shunyata. Now, the word emptiness can sound frightening. It can conjure images of a void, of nothingness, of annihilation. But in the context of this wisdom, its meaning is the very opposite of a cold and lonely vacuum. Shunyata does not mean nothingness. It means empty of a separate self. It is the realization that nothing exists on its own, isolated and independent from everything else. It is the ultimate truth of interconnection, the secret fabric that weaves the entire universe, including you, into a single, seamless whole. This is not a complex philosophical idea to be debated, but a reality to be felt, especially in the quiet sanctuary of the night. Let us begin with where you are. Right now, lying in your bed, you feel the weight of your body, the gentle pressure of the mattress supporting you, but you are not separate from this bed. This bed is a culmination of countless stories and countless connections. The wood in its frame was once a tree, a living being that drew life from the sun, the rain, and the soil. It stood in a forest, breathing the same air the world breathes, providing shelter for creatures small and great. The hands that shaped this wood belonged to a person with their own life, their own hopes and dreams. The metal in the screws was forged from ore, drawn from the deep earth. The cotton in the sheets grew in a field, under a vast sky, nourished by the same elements that nourish you. The bed is not just an object, it is the forest, the sun, the earth, the rain, and the work of human hands, all conspiring in this present moment to hold you, to support you. When you feel the bed beneath you, feel this immense network of connection. You are not lying on an isolated object, you are resting in the arms of the universe. Now, bring your awareness to the air, the silent, invisible presence that fills the room and fills your lungs. With every inhalation, you draw the world into yourself. This air has traveled. It has brushed against leaves on distant trees. It has skimmed over the surface of oceans. It has passed through the lungs of countless other beings. The oxygen that gives you life at this very second was a gift from the green plants of the world, a silent, generous offering. And with every exhalation, you give a gift back. You release a part of yourself into the world, a warmth, a moisture, a carbon dioxide that will, in turn, nourish the very plants that sustain you. This exchange is constant, intimate, and effortless. You are not just a body breathing in a room. You are in a perpetual, graceful dance with the entire atmosphere of the planet. There is no solid line where you end and the air begins. The boundary is porous, a gentle meeting place. Feel this. You are breathing with the world, and the world is breathing with you. In this simple act, the illusion of separation begins to fade. Listen now to the sounds of the night. Perhaps there is a profound silence, or perhaps there is the distant hum of a city, the creak of a floorboard, the whisper of wind against the window. Do not label these sounds as external, as interruptions to your peace. Hear them as the symphony of the present moment. Each sound is a ripple in the vast ocean of being. It arises, it is heard, and it fades away. You, the hearer, are not separate from the sound. Without your ears and your consciousness, the sound wave is just a vibration in the air. Without the vibration, there is nothing for you to hear. The sound and the listener arise together. They depend on each other. They are two sides of the same coin. Allow these sounds to wash through you. Let them be a part of your stillness, not something that disturbs it. You are the silent space in which all sounds can arise and pass away without resistance, without judgment. The universe is speaking, and you are the listening. In this deep state of interconnectedness, we can understand the beautiful parable of the wave and the ocean. Imagine a single wave rising from the sea. The wave might look around and see other waves, some bigger, some smaller. It might feel a sense of pride as it reaches its peak, and a deep fear as it begins to fall, knowing it will soon crash upon the shore and disappear. The wave believes it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It has a separate identity, a life of its own. It fears its own death, its own annihilation. But then, one moment, in a flash of insight, the wave looks down, deep into itself, and it realizes the truth. Its fundamental nature is not wave. Its fundamental nature is water. It is not separate from the ocean. It is the ocean, expressing itself for a brief time as a wave. In that moment, all fear vanishes. How can it die? How can it disappear? Its form may change, but its essence, the water, is eternal and vast. It was never born, and it will never die. It simply changes its form. You, in your bed tonight, are that wave. Your name, your history, your worries, your successes, your failures, your anxieties about tomorrow, they all belong to the identity of the wave. And this wave self feels isolated. It feels vulnerable. It fears its own end. But your true nature, your deepest essence, is the ocean. You are not just this collection of thoughts and memories. You are the vast, boundless consciousness in which all things arise and fall. When you feel your connection to the bed, to the air, to the sounds, you are the wave realizing it is water. You are remembering your true home. Feel the boundaries of your physical body begin to soften. Imagine your awareness, which you usually feel is located behind your eyes, expanding outwards. Let it fill the room. Let it merge with the darkness, with the stillness. You are not a small, frightened person in a dark room. You are the stillness of the room itself. You are the gentle darkness. When you realize this unity, this shunyata, what is there left to fear? The personal anxieties of the wave become so small, so insignificant, when seen from the perspective of the entire ocean. The worry about a meeting tomorrow, the regret about a conversation yesterday, these things dissolve into the boundless peace of your true nature. This is not about forcing yourself to sleep. It is about resting in what you already are. It is the ultimate letting go, a surrender not into nothingness, but into everything. It is a return to the source. And in this return, in this vast, silent, interconnected peace, sleep comes not as a conquest, but as a gentle visitor, finding you already at home, already at rest, in the heart of a loving and undivided universe. We have traveled a long way together through the landscape of the night. Our journey began in a place of struggle, with a mind that tossed and turned, fighting the darkness, wrestling with thoughts, and desperately chasing a sleep that seemed to run further away with every effort. We began in a state of resistance. From that place of turmoil, we took a simple, yet profound, first step. We returned to the breath. We found an anchor in its gentle, rhythmic tide, a constant friend in the darkness. We learned to simply be with it, and in doing so, we began to quiet the storm. Then, we journeyed deeper into the body, not as a source of pain or tension, but as a wise and patient teacher. We listened to its sensations, offering it our gentle attention, and allowed it to soften, to release the accumulated burdens of the day. We walked bravely into the halls of memory, not to be trapped by the past, but to look upon it with the eyes of compassion, to forgive ourselves and others, and to let go of the stories that no longer served us. We learned to sit with our most difficult emotions, fear and anxiety, not as enemies to be vanquished, but as messengers to be heard, offering them the warmth of our acceptance until they felt safe enough to dissolve. We embraced the power of the present moment, this precious sliver of reality, realizing it is the only place where life ever truly happens, and the only place where peace can be found. And finally, we expanded our awareness to touch the profound truth of our interconnection with all things, realizing that we are not isolated islands of suffering, but inseparable parts of a vast, intelligent, and unified whole. This has been a journey from resistance to acceptance, from fear to compassion, from separation to unity. The core message of our time together is this: sleep is not a battle to be won, but an act of surrender to be allowed. True peace is not found in the eradication of all life's problems, but in the cultivation of a mind that can remain still and centered in the midst of them. The night, which we so often frame as an adversary, is in fact one of our greatest teachers, a profound space for healing, reflection, and return. It invites us into a silence where we can finally hear the whisper of our own deepest wisdom. May you carry this feeling of empowerment with you, not just into sleep, but into your waking life. You do not need to search for peace in some distant place, at some future time. All the tools you will ever need are already within your possession. Your breath is your anchor. Your mindful attention is your light. Your compassionate heart is your sanctuary. They are here, right now, always available. Every night, whether you fall asleep in 5 minutes or you lie awake for hours, is a sacred opportunity. It is a chance to practice, to be kind to yourself, to let go, and to come home. You are the master of your own inner peace. May you find comfort in this knowledge. May you be well. May you be at ease. And may you have a truly peaceful night, resting in the gentle, quiet cradle of this very moment.